Está- Me estoy muriendo de risa. Le digo a Bruno, perdón, Bruno, de corazón. Le tengo que mandar a Bruno el título del video y todo para que lo ponga en el sitio de Elite Trading Academy también. Ahí nos echa muchísimo la mano. Y todas las mañanas, a las 4 de la mañana, le mando la información del video. Yo en la mañana le mandé una foto, la miniatura con mi cara. Digo, güey, mil perdones, que lo primero que tengas que ver en la mañana es mi cara. Me dice, no hay bronca, ya hablé con el terapista y lo podemos hacer, mándame el título primero y el embed y ya después me mandas esto. Y lo mismo le tengo que decir a ustedes, mil perdones que tienen que ver mi cara y estoy triste que no tengamos como una animación que pueda salir que ustedes puedan ver para que se les haga más entretenido. Pero bueno, sin más ni más, vamos a entrar de lleno a todo esto porque se está poniendo caliente la cosa en Estados Unidos. Estamos viendo, güey, he estado viendo estas tablas todas, todas. Y por supuesto, tengo que siempre tener en mente que cuando todo se ve más alcista puede ser un tope, porque en los topes se ve así. Cuando estás en la parte, en el fondo del fondo, se ve aún más bajista, ¿no? Que es el tradicional, va a bajar más, güey, ¿no? Entonces tengo que tener cuidado. Pero aquí, o sea, todas las tablas están gritando para arriba y con fuerza. ¿Y qué nos pondría en ese escenario? Yo creo que o sea, porque hemos platicado el escenario de Milei mil veces, ¿no? Donde vamos a recortar gastos, donde Estados Unidos va a ir en un periodo de deflación, esperemos que sea muy rápido y salgamos para adelante. Pero también existe el otro lado de la moneda. ¿Qué es lo que haría que Estados Unidos pueda empujar aún más crecimiento? Y eso sería a través de inflación, ¿no? Existe y se va a dar a través de inflación de diferentes maneras. Lo pueden hacer con un paquete, un estímulo, por supuesto. Nadie va a decir que no, ¿no? O sea, eso todo el mundo lo sabe. Pueden hacer un paquete de estímulo y simplemente agregar a lo que ya estábamos haciendo y eso sería eso. Pero también existe la posibilidad de que recorten impuestos una vez más. Cuando Trump entró a cargo la primera vez en el 2016, recortó los impuestos cuando todos estábamos volteando a ver los mercados y todos decíamos, güey, es que ya no puede subir más, ya no puede subir más. Recortó impuestos y claro, aprendimos la lección de la vida, ¿no? El mercado se puso como loco para arriba. ¿Por qué? Porque cuando cortas impuestos, eso quiere decir que las empresas tienen más dinero. Cuando las empresas tienen más dinero, tienen mejores resultados. Cuando las empresas tienen mejores resultados, sus acciones suben. Y si recortan impuestos, por supuesto que va a aumentar el gasto público. Y anoche, y ahorita lo voy a platicar. Aumentarías el gasto del público. El público continuaría gastando como loco de izquierda a derecha. Y cuando el público está gastando como loco de izquierda a derecha, ¿qué es lo que pasa? Tienes un evento inflacionario, va a tocar un año después. Si la política de Trump es inflacionaria, por ejemplo, y por inflacionario me refiero a que corte impuestos, pero no reduzca el gasto de gobierno, si llega a ser algo así, no vas a ver inflación en el 2025. La inflación llegaría el 2026, más o menos. Es lo que esperaríamos todos, ¿no? Ver para adelante. La devaluación de nuestro dinero es lo que es. Eso nos estaría diciendo, el oro nos estaría contando esa historia, ¿no? Si lo estamos viendo ahorita, la fuerza del dólar con todo. Pero nos han dicho, ¿no? O sea, el güey que está poniendo Trump a cargo de toda la Secretaría del Tesoro nos dijo que quiere o crear un paquete de estímulo o cortar impuestos para toda la gente. Y también está hablando de reducir el déficit. Entonces nos está poniendo todos los escenarios enfrente. Y por cierto, anoche estaba viendo South Park, estaba viendo el episodio de el 2008, cuando ocurre lo del 2008 y que ponen a todo el mundo a gastar en sus tarjetas de crédito y esa era como la fórmula para continuar con la economía tal cual, sin que nadie se cuestionara nada. Siempre y cuando sigas gastando, va a seguir subiendo, ¿no? Va a seguir funcionando. Cuando dejas de gastar, ese es el problema, es lo que hay en el episodio. Y es literalmente lo que hemos visto estos últimos años. Se han vuelto mucho mejor a esto. Han dado más créditos de diferentes formas, lo han hecho en créditos fantasmas, créditos acá, y eso ha hecho que todo continúe tal cual. Y no me había dado cuenta de que ese fue el call to action de ese entonces, de sigue gastando más. Y ahora no lo tienen que hacer, lo único que tienen que hacer es ponerte a varios tiktokeros que tienen mucho dinero enfrente para que quieras tener ese dinero, ponerte en todos los TikToks, en todos tus reels, algún anuncio para que compres algo. Y volverte parte del mecanismo, ¿no? Y eso es lo que nos lleva a que todo el mundo esté endeudado en tarjeta de crédito, pero la economía sigue. Sin más ni más, voy unos minutos tarde. Aquí están Alex, aquí está Farhan echándose unas enchiladas, unos chilaquiles, no sé qué exactamente se esté tragando el don, pero se ve delicioso. Vamos a darle con todo. Estamos viendo el mercado pompear. Todos los que están en el long de ETA. Bien hecho. Muy bien hecho. Y vámonos con todo, señores. Mr. Garlic Bread, Mr. Alex.
Yo, what up, boys?
Oh, you're muted. Of course. We can't start a stream without that.
I hear you talking to yourself.
You're still muted. Your microphone. Like what?
It's muted from the top of the microphone. The little, you tap the top.
A little red thing. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Like I was saying though, Mr. Garlic Bread is in the fucking house.
Mr. Garlic Bread is in the house, boys. Everything looks fucking tremendously good right now. And Brian Martinez is the first one to make it to the chat, and he's asking for that delicious Bitcoin.
Let me get that going.
And then we'll do Coinbase.
I'll do that first since I have to leave early.
Do it, son.
Sure.
Sorry, guys. Brian needs to go because he's got a life, apparently.
Yeah, but he's traveling, I guess.
I got a flight to Mexico City. I've been told the best city in Mexico.
In the fucking world, son. He's awesome. Yeah. You're going to eat like a king.
I think I decided on that restaurant, Pujol.
Which one?
The Pujol.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. That's really good.
All right, let's do the weekly first. So on the weekly on Bitcoin, we got an exact bounce, the bottom of 38.2%. After we had been away from it for a good amount of time, then 38.2 finally caught up to price action. We got a bounce right exactly at the bottom of it, and then we got not only a bounce there, but we got a very strong reaction and a spring off of 38.2%. Usually whenever that happens, you get almost a free move to the median. We're just about to hit the median right now. The high of this candle is 103,181, and the median is at 104,836. So as long as you're this close to it, and you're bouncing off of 38.2%, almost a given that you're going to come and tap this median. It doesn't tell you if you're going to close above it or not, but just like you're very, very likely to come and tap it. If you look at our momentum is starting to break back up, rejecting the bearish control zone, and volatility is at very extreme levels. Usually whenever you get momentum to the to the upside and volatility pointing down, you get a touch of the median, which right now the same setup is giving us from bouncing off of 38.2%. And not only that, but we have the momentum going all the way down here, lower than it was in all of these other places. But price is making a significantly higher low, giving us possible hidden bullish divergence from all of these points right here. The way to confirm that hidden bullish divergence is you'd have to close a weekly candle over 102,753. You get a close over there, you'd have confirmed this next low was our next major higher low, and that would confirm the hidden bullish divergence, and they would give you two minimum targets. The first one, at an absolute minimum, is going to be our previous all-time highs at $108,000, and then after that, it's going to be somewhere around this 38.2%, which is about $125,627. Getting a little up there, getting to kind of the retarded numbers.
My boy George is screaming right now.
He's getting ready.
He doesn't even
need the CLs. We're getting the jewel is at right around the place where you would look for it to flip back around, right at the yellow. Possibly can go a little bit lower towards the edge of the bullish control zone and start flipping back around there. But this is also a very logical place where it would start to flip back around. 2 week is giving us a beautiful bounce off of this 9 EMA. Usually on the 2 week, whenever we're in a strong uptrending move, the 9 EMA is where we find our major lows. Like whenever we started this rally back in September, we went all the way up towards around like 48,000, September of 2023. I mean, we went all the way up to $43,000 in around like January. That's when we got our $10,000 dump to 38,000. Bounced exactly off the 9 EMA, then went from there to all-time highs at 73,000. Then we started chopping. We lost the 9 EMA a little bit. Then as soon as we reclaimed it and had two closes over it, then we started our next vertical move. And now, as of this moment, we're finding our next major low sitting at the 9 EMA, and that is at around $89,600 to $89,700. And not only that, but we're reclaiming strongly the 5 EMA as well. We look at our momentum, still kind of sideways a little bit, while volatility is also sideways. So if we close over this 38.2%, which is right now kind of high up there, it's at $110,000, $110,484. Momentum and volatility start shifting back up. momentum will break back into the bullish control zone. That's going to give us a target of the same number of $125,000. It'll take you, at that point, it'll take you 2 Chinese Bitcoin to buy 1 Lucid Air Sapphire. You can take your pick for whichever one is overpriced.
I think at that, man, I would buy just a used one.
I think even
No.
those are going over 150 because not many people have them. So the people who actually do have them are not willing to sell them for too cheap.
There's got to be like more than 4 for sale. There's like 7 made, and there's got to be like 4 for sale.
Momentum to the upside is now still strongly up. It's rejecting getting into the negative. Volatility is still coming very low levels, sitting at 4.55%. Then we look at the jewel on the monthly. The jewel is starting to flip back around and is giving us the light blue cyan bicolor. This is the first time that it's flipped by from sell all the way since around January of 2023, whenever the bear market actually kind of ended and we started this current bull run. We have not been switching from dark blue sell to light blue ever since then. During our August and summer of 2023 phase, when we went sideways for a little bit right before the Hamas setup, we only switched from buy to neutral back to buy. We didn't flip to sell. We flipped to sell back in summer of 2024, whenever we had that Japan carry trade fail, and we had a momentary like maybe 1, 2, 3 months of sell. Now we're switching back from sell to neutral to buy, and one more monthly open, and this should very likely take us within the critical zone. Whenever we get into the critical zone, that's where banana zone happens. Last time we entered the critical zone was right over here in January of 2020, December of 2020 to January of 2021. That's when price went from $30,000 to $65,000. Before that was around February of 2017. You guys remember what happened in 2017? Literally up only from like $700 to $19,800.
Yeah, that was quick too.
And then March of 2013. That's the only other times that we've entered into the critical zone. And this time around, what the difference is between those are the points that we enter the critical zone, is this time around we have a rejection the first touch of the critical zone. So next time we should theoretically stay in there for a good amount of time because we rejected it once. These other times we didn't reject it. We just went straight into the critical zone and then quickly deviated it. Went straight in, then lost it. Went straight in, then lost it. This time around, we're probably going to stay there for a good amount longer than we stayed in those times. And the longer we're in the critical zone, the more retarded the move is going to be. And right now, we're brushing right up against that median on the monthly. The median's at $99,544. If you get a close over that median, volatility is going to start expanding to the upside from almost 0%, while momentum is breaking up. And if you get volatility expansion from 0% on the monthly, it doesn't, like, these upper numbers don't seem that retarded anymore, because yeah, sure, this number is going to change. Like right here, it was sitting at about like 184,000, then it came all the way down to 156. Right now, this number sits at $163,000. So we got to see where it moves to. But if you close over this median, that you get a 61.8% chance of hitting
George,
top 38%.
stop it. George,
I'm not gonna say what number we're going to, but we're gonna go to the 38.2% most likely if we close over the median. Who knows where this number will come down to? Maybe it comes down right here to 130. Maybe it comes even lower to like 125. Right now, it's sitting at kind of a retarded number at around $163,000.
fuck.
Absolutely insane. Still not enough to buy a Lucid Air Sapphire. Quarterly is now pointed strongly to the upside, bouncing right off the moving average, just about to break back into the positive area. The last time we had quarterly momentum break back into the positive was right over here when price was sitting at about $12,479 in July of 2020. Quickly from there, we went to about $62,000. So 12,000 to 62,000, that's quite a move. We're getting the same setup from that we had there now. And volatility is sitting at maybe $500,000 Bitcoins.
Can you imagine? I mean, it
That'd
will
be absolutely insane.
Eventually it will, and we're going to be talking about this, but can you imagine if he just does it right now in a year?
One Chinese Bitcoin exchange for one Italian Lamborghini Huevos Revuelto. Such a stupid name they picked for that car.
It really, right? I mean, now that you guys live in Mexico, Revuelto, like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's eggs, bro. Scrambled
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah, it's really fucking odd.
And with the momentum pointed up, volatility pointed down, that gives you a setup of hitting the median. Right now, the median sits at $118,888. Even that's an absolutely insane number. And you have a very high probability of hitting that with momentum pointed up and volatility pointed down. So that sometime by the end of March, you have a high, very, very, very high probability of hitting that $118,888 number.
Damn.
Not really enough data to load HPDR on 6-1.
I personally don't even use the HPDR on longer than a month because I just
It's not really useful.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wait 7 years for the fucking thing to get to either the median, the top of the blue zone, or the bottom of the blue zone. Like, there's so much time.
Yeah, and then it can move very heavily. Like right here, it
Yeah.
started at around 82,000, then it moved all the way down to like 68,000.
Exactly.
And by the way, just gonna take a second to point out the Academy long at around $97,000. Price is now 102. People
Not
are
bad.
printing.
That's what I was telling everybody in Spanish. Congratulations, everyone. Well fucking done.
The 5-day is now brushing right up against that median, and we're still brewing on a 5-day setup on the volatility versus momentum on the momentum chart. What's probably going to happen is if we get a 5-day close over this median, that's where that setup is probably going to start firing off, and we go over 15%. Because if we close over the median, we have 61.8% chance of winning the 38.2%. Right now, that sits at around $117,832. Do you guys remember that quarterly median, $118,000?
Mhm.
Very, very close. And then almost certainly that 5-day setup will be firing off, and that would give us a 85% chance of hitting somewhere around $130,000. Right now on 5-day, the bias kind of is up because momentum is breaking to the upside, but volatility is sitting at literally 0%. And the jewel is now starting to lose its sell curvature and flip back around and deviate, getting out of the bullish control zone. If this switches to neutral and then buy, that's going to be a projection of getting kicked out of the bullish control zone. 2-day is now flipping back up on momentum. Volatility is freshly flipping back up, and the jewel is losing the neutral signal and switching back to a buy signal. Maybe on this next 1 or 2 opens, it'll break back into the bullish control zone as well. Last time the jewel broke into the bullish control zone was right over here in October of 2024. Let's mark it right when we broke into it. Right about here, we got a close confirming into the bullish control zone. That puts us at right there when price was at about $66,000. We went sideways for a little bit and then big up until $108,000. Getting the same setup as we did there now, where the jewel is just about to break back and freshly into the bullish control zone. We're approaching this top 38.2%, which is going to be a magnet for price action, considering we closed the last candle over the median. And why not that 38.2% sits at around $107,179, right below our previous all-time highs. Good chance that we get approaching that area, the 5-day setup is going to start to fire off. Daily momentum is already breaking back into bullish control. Volatility is already strongly to the upside at 53%. And the jewel is now curving back around, giving us a buy signal, just about to cross over this yellow slow moving average, and then move its way back into the bullish control zone. We're getting the daily over the 38.2%, over the 50%. If we get a close over the 50% with volatility coming from where it is, expansion from 20%, ruling at 53%, very high probability we go somewhere around the 78.6. And 78.6 is going to be currently a sweep of our current all-time highs, right around $110,000. And that's what I have as the final TP on, I believe is the final TP on the exchange, the Academy long, at $110,000.
That would
And
be
if
a
it goes
monster trade.
Yeah, and if it goes to 110,000, probably going to go higher because of that 5-day setup. I just have the TP3 at a more conservative number. And TP3 doesn't mean close the entire trade. It just means take profit. The rest of it is on you if you want to keep it open or if you want to close it.
Yeah.
4 hours now also breaking freshly into bullish control zone. Volatility is flipped up to support it. And the jewel is flipping back around, making its way into the critical zone after bouncing perfectly off this pink fast moving average. We've gotten a close over the 61.8%. Usually somewhere around the 78.6 is where it likes to top out. This is where it topped on our $102,000 high whenever we rejected that and then made another low of around like 89,000. 78.6% right now sits at 103,449. With our momentum getting to pretty extreme levels, volatility getting to pretty extreme levels, does make sense to get a little bit of a pullback from around 103,400, 103,500 area. But I would not really expect that deep of a pullback, and I would expect some pretty solid support somewhere around 102,000. Likely, if we do get a pullback in 103s, 102s is probably going to be the opportunity point where you could get, if you're sitting on the sidelines, get back in there and then target somewhere around 110. But the risk reward is not really going to be in your favor because you would have to have your stop loss sitting somewhere around $89,000. That's pretty wide. I guess you can move it if you want to be a little bit more conservative. You could move your stop loss to around $97,300 because if it drops below there on a 4-hour, then it's likely gonna keep this 102 as a rejection and Nagasaki from there. So I guess you could do 102 as an entry and then stop loss of like 97,300. Ding. I can show you the world. That's what we gotta have whenever we're loading. On the 3-month, we're still getting our hidden bullish divergence active, and it's crazy how much this hidden bullish divergence is playing out. Like it confirmed like somewhere around like this point right here when we made a local bottom. That was at about like $31,000, and we went more than 3x from there to $108,000, and it's still active. Pretty insane. And it's going to be active as long as we're closing above $58,890 on this next quarterly candle. The current one is going to after this one closes and the next one opens, then to invalidate the divergence, you'd have to close below 89,224. But as of right now, since volatility is still expanding from the lowest point it's ever been at, we're only at 45%. We started expanding on our volatility when price was at about like $38,000. We went from there 3x to $108,000, and price only went volatility only went to 45%. Doesn't seem that crazy to hit that critical zone, even though this number is likely to change. Last time it changed, it went up. We don't know if it'll go up or down. Right now it's at $169,000. Very beautiful number. I've seen a lot of numbers, and that's one of the most beautiful numbers I've ever seen. Monthly is giving us a perfect bounce right off of this 5 EMA. Usually on the whenever we're in a strong uptrend, this 5 EMA likes to hold. You see it right all the way up here, and then up here going straight up. The 5 EMA held the entire time. Really putting this shooting star candle into like the hindsight perspective, that this was probably very likely a complete trap. To where people see a shooting star candle at just over $100,000, and they're like, "Oh, this is the top. $100,000 has been hit. We put in a shooting star candle, time to max short with our stop loss at 108,300." So just imagine what happens once price breaks 108,300. We probably rapidly accelerate towards $110,000 to $115,000 because of all the stop losses that will hit in this area and the liquidations. We still have possible bearish divergence on the monthly, but it means nothing until we made a local top. This is the same thing that happened all the way through like this point around. Whenever we were making higher highs and we had possible bearish divergence, but we never really made a local top, so divergence was never confirmed. And then we just went straight up from there. Everybody was waiting for the bearish divergence to confirm, never confirmed. We just went straight up. Right now, we have possible hidden a regular bearish divergence possible if we close below 91,186. We went slightly below that on this candle, was a complete trap, and then sprung back up. On this candle, we'd have to, on the next candle, after this one closes, then to confirm the bearish divergence, we'd have to close below 89,224. Doesn't seem very likely to happen on this monthly candle. Maybe next month, not this one though. And whenever this does confirm, almost certainly we're going to be in a bear market, because if you were to look at previous history, every single time we've had monthly bearish divergence or hidden bearish divergence, it was the bear market. Mm-hmm. There has not been a single time where we've had those bearish divergences and it was not a bear market. And now monthly is about to freshly give us volatility expansion over the moving average. The last time we got volatility expansion over the moving average was right here in September of 2023, right before our Hamas setup in October of 2023.
By the way, I was trying to explain that to a friend of mine that's Jewish. The Hamas setup. I didn't realize. I was talking to him. I'm like, yeah, we call it the Hamas setup and blah, blah, blah. And then I saw his face. I was like, oh boy.
He was like, wait, what'd you say?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Can you just repeat that one more time?
Mazel tov.
Oh my God.
God,
Only I
we're
getting those fucking stupid predicaments.
absolute
Sorry.
fuckheads. And now you see price made a higher low from where it was right here to where it was right here. RSI made a significantly lower low, giving us possible hidden bullish divergence on the 2-week as well. And this is basically already confirmed and probably played out because we confirmed it at somewhere around $69,000. Beautiful number. And we went from there to $108,000. It's still active though, as long as we're closing above $92,190. Our next target will be the critical zone. Right now, oh God, that's an absolutely retarded number. I don't even feel comfortable saying it. This one right here, 152,975.
Damn. But that is still below the 169 on the month. The monthly had the 169, right?
The quarterly.
The quarterly. I mean, not too crazy.
And this goal original Hamas setup from October of 20 is still firing off and still not invalidated yet. Because we're going to see the pivot on the momentum chart, but right now on this one, I can already tell you that it's still active. It's not fired off. I mean, not invalidated. It came very close to being invalidated on the wick low of this candle right here at 89,224, but it was just a big fake out, like a big psych. And now this Hamas setup is still active. Just like whenever they thought that they would never fly over the what do you call it, the fence, but Hamas was like, psych.
We're able to climb the little fence. It was no problem.
We have Jared with helicopter on the back.
Joe Biden gave me a helicopter. I use.
Right now on the weekly, do we have anything? No, that's no divergence there. We'd want to see a weekly close above 108,287, but that's not really that helpful because that's current all-time highs. But if you were to get a close above there, then you would get a move to somewhere around 118,000, probably minimum for our quarterly median, to somewhere around $125,000 for that HPDR level. Although it's not really helpful to say that you got to close over 108,000 because that's our all-time high. So it's pretty obvious we're going to pump from there.
Mm-hmm.
See any?
Dude, we get so lucky in our streams. We really get like price moving almost every single time.
That's the beauty of the high volatility times.
Yeah.
3-day on this last close is just confirmed with 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence off of this higher low at $92,578. Plus, we're getting volatility expansion from around 15%. And the jewel is now starting to curve around, rejecting getting into the bearish control zone, giving us vertical curvature to the upside. On this next candle open, this is likely to switch to the light blue bicolor. Our first target is going to be somewhere around the bullish control zone. And right now the bullish control zone sits at, oh, beautiful. They're just that quarterly median at $118,720. Critical zone, I'm not going to say we're going to hit this number because it's absolutely retarded and this number probably changes. But just for shits and giggles, I'll tell you what the critical zone is right now. For the next month, next day and 9 hours, it's 189,207. We're very, very lucky not going to that number. We're going there tomorrow.
George is like, I don't know, guys. We might get there by the end of the day. I don't know why he talks like that today.
Maybe tomorrow, maybe end of the day.
I don't know. Just gonna get
I'm
wasted.
George. We're all George. Get wasted on a bottle of Jack Daniels.
I gotta tell you, like the George model on this Friday, I'm gonna follow. I'm getting fucking blasted, and I just need to figure out who, because I've none of my friends are here right now. I need to figure out who I can just go laugh with. I want to make a lot of inappropriate jokes today.
FaceTime me, and I'll pour up the aileron.
There you go.
You know I'm always down for a drink.
Yes, sir. Same here.
The 2-day is now also confirmed many drives of hidden bullish divergences off of this last higher low at $94,500. We're going to have 2 targets off of that, especially since we have expanding volatility from 12%, giving us a 2-day setup. Volatility drop below 15% and then expanding above. And the first target is going to be the bullish control zone. That number sits right below our current all-time highs at $107,400. Next target is the critical zone, kind of a retarded number. Be prepared for that. It's $145,500. I mean, even if you would have told somebody last year Bitcoin would be trading at $108,000, they'd say that's a retarded number. So
Yeah, 100%. But at the same time, it's already done a 6x, right? From the $15,000 lows.
yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, and
In 2 years.
That to me is what there's the excitement part, like seeing this, because for the first time, like I said, when I saw the Hamas setup for the first time, I didn't see the Hamas setup. I just understood financially what it meant that we were going to do that, and it coincided with the chart basically. And now I'm seeing the chart. So this is the first time I'm in this, looking at the charts, understanding these setups, but not understanding if this is toppy or not, because it's insane. It makes me want to put all of my money on crypto, which no one should. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the second that the market makes you feel that's when you know that it's fucking.
That's what I'm saying. It's fuckery. So I mean, I'm still gonna enjoy this and see. Hopefully, we get to those numbers, but can't trust it. Can't trust myself.
7% up. It's not the best, but pretty good.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Let's see what's next. Let's do the shift to the 12 hours. See if there's any divergence there. Nope. Nope. Now we go to the momentum chart. All right, quarterly momentum volatility is once again expanding from the lowest level it's ever been at. What gives you the bias is the direction of stochastic momentum, which is pointed up as long as we're above $60,100. We're considerably above that right now by about $40,000, $43,000. We're above this momentum pivot. That's a lot of money. We are up like 12 or 13 Ethereums above this price.
It's fucking insane.
And we're just about to break into the critical zone as well. Has quarterly ever been in the critical zone? Come on. Fucking hell. Load. Nope, never once has it ever been in the critical zone. Monthly is now flipping back up. The volatility is starting to once again expand, maintaining the critical zone, and it's going to be pointed up as long as we're above $89,800. Makes a lot of sense why that $89,000 area was our local bottom, macro bottom, and like very strong support area, because that's what the pivot is to flip the monthly momentum down.
What are the little dots on the momentum chart?
Which ones? Oh, this right here?
No, to the top, like where the line is. Yeah, right there. That's not a derp, a death.
No,
right?
no. This is
Okay.
this is the momentum oscillator. The derps are. I guess you don't have any on the monthly. You probably see it on the 2-week though.
Got it.
Then monthly momentum flipping back to the upside within the critical zone is usually a very powerful signal. Like I'll give you an example of when it happened. It happened in the 2016-2017 cycle, where when monthly momentum flipped back up, price was around right here, $606. We went to $19,800 from there. Pretty insane. That's when we enter the banana zone, whenever momentum flips back up within the critical zone on a very high time frame. And then we're getting volatility expansion from about 18%. All of the signs point towards getting absolutely retarded numbers. 2 weeks for that Hamas setup is still going to be active, still pointed up as long as we're above $101,200. Volatility is now at devil's dick number of 6667 number percent, 66.67%. On this next open in 2 days and 9 hours, this volatility is likely to rise. We want to see where it goes to. If it's still below 90%, 87%, still a probability that we continue to the upside before we get a long form correction. And 2 week is now about to flip back up within the bullish control zone, bullish critical zone as well. Last time we flipped back up within the critical zone was right here when price was at $40,000, and we went to 73,000 from there. But here's the derps on the 2 week on the stochastic momentum. We confirmed one right here when price was at about $70,000. We went from there to 49,000, like 49,200, I believe. 49,200. We confirmed one right here when price was at about 29,667. We went from there to about $24,000. Over here in the bear market, price was at about 43,489. We went from there to 15,000. And then we did one right over here. Price was 36,650. We went down to about 29,292. And then after that, we put in the bullish dot right here, and price went from 29,000 to 69,000. Beautiful number. Weekly is now putting in a very nice bullish engulfing candle as well. Assuming we close over 102,750, that will be a bullish engulfing, and it will confirm hidden bullish divergence as well. The pivot is still pointed down on the weekly though. We're alongside volatility contraction. We got 2 days and 9 hours to go. We're about to break back into the bullish control zone, and we're going to be pointed down as long as we're below $107,150. What's likely to happen is once we get into the bullish control zone, it's going to be much easier for bulls to turn the momentum back up, and this number is very likely to drop significantly. What it's probably going to, it's very difficult to guess where it's going to go to, but it's probably going to go somewhere around $100,000 to maybe $102,000 where this previous projective high was, right over here. And once that happens, then we get confirmation that we're very likely to get a major breakout to the upside, and then volatility will start flipping back up to support it. 5 days now just starting to expand slightly on volatility after hitting 2 periods of 0%, giving us a little bit of a Hamas setup on the 5 day. We're at 4.37% now. Once we get over 15%, we're going to have an 85% chance of a 30 to 35% move in the direction of momentum. As of right now, momentum is pointed up as long as we're above $102,350. Very high probability as long as we're expanding over that we get a 30 to 35% move. That takes us somewhere around $135,000 to $140,000. Pretty well. Two days now giving us a volatility setup where we drop below the 15%, expanded above it, rejecting getting into the bearish critical zone, and we're pointed up, breaking into the bullish control zone as long as we're above $94,650. Where did we start our volatility expansion? Right over here in this candle. So if we were to do the 20 to 25% average move from there, %, brings us to around like $120,000. 25% takes us to about $125,000. $125,000 is one of our major HPDR levels, and we're getting a green derp of life right here. Last time we had one of those on the 2 day was right around this point. We got a little bit of a correction from about $65,000. Then we went to $108,000.
Oh boy.
And now the daily is giving us volatility expansion from one of those setups right below 15%. Momentum is pointed up, breaking into the critical zone as long as we're above $93,500. We're about $10,000, $11,000 over that right now. Even the 4 hour is now starting to once again expand on volatility after going sideways and up, actually, not even just sideways. And we're bouncing off the critical zone, and we're going to be pointed up as long as we're above $103,150. Literally every single time frame right now looks bullish on Bitcoin. Quarterly is up as long as we're above $60,000. Monthly is up as long as we're above $89,000, $89,800. The 2 week is going to be up as long as we're above $103,000. Every single setup is and keeping the Hamas setup alive. Where we have multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence confirmed on many different time frames, giving us pretty insane, ridiculous targets. The most down-to-earth target that the bullish divergence is giving us is around $107,000 to $108,000, which is a retest of our previous all-time highs. At which point the 5 day setup will start firing off, because that gives us a minimum target of around $130,000. We have a quarterly median target of $118,000. That also very likely fires off our 5 day setup. We have a 2 day setup firing off, which gives us a target of around $120,000 to $125,000. Once we get there, the 5-day is going to be firing off, which takes us to 130s. The 4-hour is now flipping back up on momentum. Daily is flipping up on momentum. Volatility is supporting it. Like, it just looks bullish all around. I can't find any type of bearish hopium right now. The only type of bearish hopium I can see is didn't even really play out because we tapped 103s and we didn't get a pullback from there. So that bearish scenario is not invalidated, and I have no bearish hopium.
The only bearish hopium that exists is what happened in my dream. Not last night, because last night I was too drunk to remember my dream, but the night before, where it was the aliens attacking us in my dream and we had to run. We had to run everywhere. They were destroying everything. That's the only bad thing that could happen. And it's a dream.
They'll say, take us to your leader and we'll take them to Joe Biden.
Well, by the way, what a joke that'd be. Take us to your leader. You take him to Joe Biden, just laughing. They're going to think he's our leader. What's happening?
I guess this species is too retarded to conquer. We might as well just leave him alone.
All right, just leave him alone. By the way, I was listening to some guy. Sorry, Alex, before you jump in, this is completely off topic. I love the alien narrative and whatnot. And I was listening to a guy. He goes, the narrative of aliens, like if it's real that they're coming in and they don't want us to use nuclear bombs, is amazing. Because everyone is like, wow, they're here to save us. Dude, they're telling you to eliminate your most powerful weapons, like, right? Like, it would be the equivalent to the government going like, all right, sell your guns, everyone, we're good. Yeah. and then once we don't have them, they kill us all.
One of the things people fail to realize is if aliens have the technology necessary to make it from where they are to where we are, our weapons are going to be dog shit against them.
Can you imagine? Yeah, dude, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, because they would need a type of propulsion system, which in our understanding of science is impossible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully my connection's working too. It's been odd, but we're gonna shift gears and actually look at tether dominance because I think it's actually telling quite an easy story right now. So to backtrack first, we were just talking about that 4.69%. In confluence to where that daily EMA 100 was. Also, where that weekly 21 was as well. Seemed just like a very logical place to reject or at least find some kind of resistance on Tether. We were talking about this after, that 3.79 support area held perfectly. We got that nice rally up, which did lead to a pretty aggressive dump on Bitcoin. But this is why I like watching, multiple time frames, trying to find the same kind of area like what we did here. Because when you get like a daily, a weekly, and then
wait, you're muting, Farhan.
Yeah, I was yelling to Alex that I don't hear him.
Oh, yeah. That he just froze. I can see in the little screen. He looks like this. Oh, no, you can't see me either. Can he borrow your internet? Your internet's pretty good.
We should be on the same internet.
I mean, the screen looks crisp.
Yeah, mine's working. How many fingers am I holding up?
Dude. How many drinks am I holding? No. There you go. You're muted, sir.
So I'm talking to myself. All right, perfect. We're back. We're black. Let's go.
There you go.
So essentially, yeah, I just connected to that. So hopefully it'll work. Good vibes only for this stream. So, essentially what we got on this was, a major rally up. That EMA 9 on the weekly still solidly was rejecting us. So that's why overall on Bitcoin, it still was a harder area, in my opinion, to gauge. But, on Tether dominance, it seemed likely that we were going to test this zone. And that's exactly what we did. Now we're getting a massive rejection on this weekly, which is closing in 2 days. And this is kind of it. Like if we end up losing, right? Because remember, if we shift now gears to daily, we see that daily EMA 100, just like it's solidly has been rejecting Tether for quite a while now. we talked about, right, losing this channel here, which is just simply a representation of just kind of the areas bulls need to hold. Losing this support while breaking this low gives us the next target to go back to this support. But at this point on Tether, you really have to gauge this on the monthly, because the monthly, even though we were still going up on Tether and Bitcoin was going down, I mean, the monthly 9 has just still been lost. And I mean, any rally up to that point still wasn't a major area, because we were talking about pretty heavily that 4.79%, 4.69%, my apologies, is going to be a major area. That was just simply based on that monthly 9. So now, we're at the bottom of the support zone, but this is really looking, ominous to me, in the sense that, we essentially have just stuck overall with the monthly trend, which has been down. What occurred in December to me looks just simply like another lower high in the overall monthly trend, which is down. If we go back to this 3.79%, I mean, we've been tapping this a lot. Like, we've tapped it a few times here, we tapped it once there, and then tapped it around, a little bit around here. So if we come back and actually tap this again, you're really going to run the risk of this being weak support, and then us actually falling and breaking down from this point. Losing the 3.79 on a monthly basis gives me the next target right around 3.26 as the next logical place for a bounce. It's right around where the 95% zone is on the HBDR. But if that doesn't hold, then, I mean, yeah, we will get a pretty aggressive drop down, just like we've basically have seen anytime we've deviated that 3.79%, especially on a monthly. It's always led to aggressive moves down straight back to that 2.4 or 2.45% level. So you're dealing with actually a pretty major level on Tether here. You're down on the daily of under all the major moving averages. So, this is looking like it does want to break down. We should be gauging, though, around, like I said, around the $3, 3%, 3.5% level closely, because, even on the daily, you see you are approaching the 95% zone. But still, it looks like this wants to make a lower low on the monthly. So, that's Tether dominance. It's just in the process of breaking down. It's not really looking bullish. And, really to tie this all back, which I do believe the move we see on Bitcoin now is just, in my opinion, the beginning. I know a lot of people now are bullish, and it seems like possibly a top is forming, or maybe it is formed. But, a lot of things on Bitcoin and on Tether are really telling me like a bigger move could be brewing here. We see the 5-day is perfectly rejected off the EMA 9 and this channel that we were using. We see the median has even flipped up on the last closure. Now it's at 4.34%. We're losing the bottom of the 38.2%, while the 5-day is giving us a pretty nice volatility setup. Once this breaks above 15%, this will confirm the overall bigger move on Tether, which I'll get into this, but Farhan mentioned it, which could bleed into this 5-day on Bitcoin actually expanding. Once this expands, I mean, this does give us a 30 to 35% move on average, up or down. And right now, the posturing of everything is bullish for Bitcoin. You can see here, now we're rejecting and losing the 38.2%. This next 5 days is going to be really interesting. So if bulls don't actually get this bounce right around that 3.79%, you're going to run the risk of this just breaking down, and then this 5-day actually expanding into possibly next close. And then at that point, the 2.5% target really wouldn't be the most insane. We know from current price action, or we'll even just take it from the 3.79%, that actually on par gives us around that 35% move on Tether dominance. So in my opinion, not the most absurd thing to really be talking about. Especially when we understand just the posturing of how these levels kind of flirt with each other. You lose the 3.79, it often just gives us an aggressive move down to the next support zone. Very, very simple style of trading, but it does work. So that is just something looming while Bitcoin is going up. Tether dominance to me looks like it's in the process of a major breakdown. We're kind of approaching the last stand. This 3.79, just like how it was back in December, is going to be a major point now for bears to actually break us down if they actually want to see those degenerate prices on Bitcoin. But to me, and the way the monthly looks, it seems very probable that's going to happen. And so now when we go to Bitcoin index, what's actually occurring on Bitcoin? Well, we talked about here if we go to the daily, that EMA 100 on the daily seemed like a very probable place to get that bounce. You know, we see Bitcoin, just like Alejandro mentioned, basically front ran this level. You know, when often you get a major level like the 87s, 88K, even I was talking about that and everyone's talking about it because it's logical. You often then get a front run or you just blast through it. So instead, you know, bulls really stepped in here. We swept all these lows, you know, shifted bulls into thinking, okay, great, we just had that lower low break on the daily. The weekly has basically shifted the trend because we were basing that on that 91.1. Was it? No, the 90,700, 90,500 low essentially. And Bitcoin swept that. This basically shifted bulls like me into bears. And we did get that move down. We gave a short, it hit TP1. But just like I always say, Bitcoin's very dirty. You know, this essentially marked a major bottom for Bitcoin. You know, and something here to note, even on that major move down, we still defended the weekly 9, an area we have been pretty heavily talking about on this channel, being a major point for Bitcoin, just simply because that's just been holding. And so now what we see is, yes, we swept all the lows. That was a nice trap for bears. We almost hit that daily EMA 100, found a bottom, broke up, and then we talked about how that 90,300 and 90,500, depending on what exchange you look. If you look at the index, it's 90,500. On Binance, for me, it's 90,300. Was a major point for Bitcoin. If bulls are actually going to pump us up, we got to break 90,300 and hold it. And so what we see into yesterday's closing, going back to the index, we actually perfectly held that level. And that's why I was saying pretty heavily on our Discord, above 99,300, there's really no reason to be bearish on Bitcoin. We were basically back in this range, which we've been kind of dancing with for a few weeks now. We hit the low of the range. We fell through it. No daily closures ever went under 90,000, 91,300, the bottom of the range. And then you can just simply see we pushed up to the top and reclaimed it. It's very simple, while then also even breaking the last major lower high on Bitcoin, right? Because even getting bullish around here had a cautionary, you had to be cautious of that idea, simply because the trend was still down on Bitcoin, even on that major move up. I mean, this still looked like a major lower high, went to a lower low. Bitcoin basically broke that today. And so now this gives me the next target. We talked about the 104,000 being basically the next objective on Bitcoin. That's basically hit. So now if we really want that next major move on Bitcoin, which is essentially testing those highs that were formed, and it possibly breaking to that new all-time high, it's going to be really crucial for bulls to actually, in my opinion, really get a close above, basically above this wick high in a number stand, since it's maybe a less than 2,000 away from this point. You're going to want Bitcoin to get back above the 61.8% on the daily. So for me, if we can actually get a daily close back above 104,000 and like 500, 600, that to me would then be the next move and reason to really at least look at these next highs that we formed, being the all-time high right around $108,000 to get tested. And then at that point, breaking that, to me, I really won't see why we're not going to hit 110,000, especially when we shift gears and actually look at the 5-day on Binance. The 5-day here, we see we're pressing the median. So even then, that's a pretty major zone. Getting back above the $104,000 zone on the 5-day takes us back above the median. And then we get a pretty degenerate number, talking about $118,000 on Bitcoin. For me, I like the view on Binance because Binance is interesting, being the biggest exchange in the world. The index has more data, but Binance charts still looking like, far and set on all time frames, most charts are looking great. Binance's chart shows that we are actually breaking above the median on the 5-day. It sees that, you know, this BBWP is now starting to curve up, still is giving us no indication yet that this is truly expanding. But what I like about this zone is once we actually do reclaim essentially this median, it's going to give us around the same target that the daily did, right around $110,000. This one's actually moved up.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just found out
Sure.
that this weekly bullish engulfing is the largest one in Bitcoin's history.
Oh, interesting. assuming it
terms of-
closes.
Yeah, in terms of overall value, it's a $13,000 bullish engulfing, largest in Bitcoin history.
Down.
Well, no more than
Damn.
13, 14,000.
And you also
almost 15.
on your daily chart on your level, Alex, where you have your meme line, exactly for like last time you had 3 candle closes, consecutive candle closes, you did the all-time high, and now you've had 3. This is your third candle. This is your third candle right here, that the one at 103. Yep.
Yeah, and often 3 makes a trend. It makes sense. That's why it's really key for bulls to defend this zone. Made no sense for me to, aggressively long until we either got a reclaim and it holds, or a rejection around here. Because we did talk about the bear scenario. They're going to try to reject us here. SFP, bearish retest, and it comes down. That didn't happen. Instead, we just busted through it and even held it. Yes, this yesterday was an aggressive move down. But if we shift gears and actually look at the 12 hours, something Farn mentioned to me. What occurred on the 12 hours actually nice, because whenever we reclaim that 12-hour EMA 9, I've talked about this a lot with the academy. People often really stress out about what could be a trading strategy, what's a trading strategy. You don't need to overcomplicate things. Like I talked about this, and that this may not be the highest hit rate, but a simple strategy could be just anytime the 12-hour EMA 9 gets reclaimed, you long, right? That worked out here, and it worked out here. It worked out nicely. I think we reclaimed it here. Yep, right here. It worked out beautifully. And then even here, worked out pretty nicely. When you're in up-only markets,
one of the setups on the Crown Quant automation program, it's basically almost exactly that, but it puts you into a trade every single time the 12-hour closes above the 5, and then it gets you out when the 12-hour closes below the 5. It's one of the setups that Crown gives out.
Yeah, so exactly, because it just works. I mean, people dog on the 9 and they dog on moving averages, but it truly does work. And I mean, what we had on the 12-hour, why I'm even bringing this up, is because simply we had a silver cross on the 12-hour occur. We then crossed, we then had that nice move down. 12-hour deviation led to a move down. That simply tested the 12-hour silver cross, leading to a nice bottom, and then we got that expansion. So, I bring this up first because it's nice to sometimes look at these lower time frames, because they can, yes, we got that SFP, but I'd be really gauging the reaction on that 12-hour 9 simply because of the silver cross. You can see that 12-hour EMA 9 perfectly held us, basically marked our bottom, and then we got that expansion, and now you see it's moving nicely with price. Now it's above the 99,300 level, which is exactly what you'd want to see. So now this can tell you if we get any kind of move down now, that 99.3 is just still going to be the gauge. It still wouldn't invalidate this 12-hour trend as long as we don't break 97,400 now. Any move back to 99.3 just to me looks like an opportunity. And why I say that is just because of the 2-day now, right? We have a 12-hour silver cross that just happened yesterday. We had that pullback to it aggressively. We know that 99,300 got reclaimed, especially on like that 5-day that occurred, I think yesterday or the day before. Now what we see is the 2-day. We have a volatility setup here actually firing off. This should be guiding your bias if you're bullish on, well, what if we dump, or what if this is the top? Well, I mean, nothing is telling me on this 2-day chart that Bitcoin has topped. We see we have a perfect 2-day trend reclaim of the upside. So the uptrend's back. We have that higher high break now. So now we have to look at this low, and after a higher high, assuming it happens, it doesn't have to, but if Bitcoin does end up retesting that 12-hour EMA 9 again and going back to this $99,300 zone, I'm going to be gauging that as a major opportunity, because as it stands with this expanding and it only at 31.7%, this is telling me that this move that we see on Bitcoin now is just kind of the beginning. It is interesting now to see we're at the top of the 38.2%. Just ties into why we really want to start seeing that 104,500, 104,600 level actually get reclaimed, because what we can see here is, again, that 61.8% is right around where that 5-day level is and close to the daily. We're getting lots of confluence around that $110,000 to $112,000 on Bitcoin. that to me is going to be the first major point. We've then broken the all-time high. Bitcoin has made that higher high. We're either going to stop there and get a nice pullback and form the trend again, or we're probably going to just blast through and go to $118,000 to $120,000. So that is kind of what we're dealing with, but nothing's really telling me that we've topped, especially when you still have this overall trend shift happening. I know this trend, we've been talking about it a lot, and that's why it's kind of dirty with Bitcoin. It makes you flip-flop a lot, but being on only one side of the trade will get you blown out. Being a short and a bear here paid well. Even shorting here paid really well. I mean, this still led the first TP on our short that gave us a almost 7% move. We essentially missed TP2 by just like $1,000, $2,000. But if I had just been a bear only in this zone, I would have been smoked. And that's why with Bitcoin, you have to really be fluid on your analysis and flip-flopping. People call it flip-flopping, but that's just how trading is. And so now what we see too is that 2-day median here is perfectly moved up right around where that EMA 9 is on the 12-hour, just giving us more confluence that, okay, any major pullback at this point, which again shouldn't surprise anyone if we did get that, you should be gauging that 99.3, 99.4 as a major point to possibly look for a long on Bitcoin. Because the idea is this 2-day is going to bleed into the 5-day. And if this 2-day can move us pretty nicely up to Bitcoin, maybe we actually retest the all-time high, then maybe the 5-day can actually start expanding. If we look actually here, the 5-day can actually start expanding, and then that's when we can actually see that bigger move up closer to the $112,000 on Bitcoin. If you're bullish, this should basically be a setup that you're really gauging as a bull, because just as history has shown, these setups often lead to pretty massive moves up. Each and every time, 30 to 35%. You catch one of those, even if you catch 20% of the move, still can be a life-changing money trade if done right. So, as it stands, Bitcoin to me doesn't look like it's topped. We now know too, shifting gears to now the monthly, that the objective for bulls is to actually break this wick high. And we talked about this in the beginning of the month, how the objective now is to break this wick high. So that should be the assumption. If we're already expanding on the 2-day, the 12-hour has silver cross. We put in all those drives of bullish divergence on the 2-day. The daily is looking amazing. We've reclaimed 99,300. If you're bullish and you're on that camp, this should be the next logical objective, is the all-time high. In doing so, this will probably cause Bitcoin to squeeze a lot, because what we saw into December was this being talked about everywhere. Oh, massive shooting star on the monthly. These often lead to massive trend reversals. This could be the top on Bitcoin, bear market. And what we know with these candles is you simply short anywhere out here and have your stop here. So if we end up coming in price up to the zone, I really wouldn't be surprised if we got to push up to that 112, 111,000, forming that higher high. And then at that point, you'll just have to really kind of see the reaction. Do we flip this wick high into support, or do we just bigly reject and then, maybe try to form some higher low on the monthly again after breaking and making a higher high? That's why you're really going to want to gauge the 5-day and the 2-day to kind of see exactly, how much of a move we're actually going to get. Because if that 2-day expands and it hits the extreme levels while the 5-day is still not expanding, then that could start shifting gears. If Bitcoin gets that bigger rejection after making the higher high, starts rejecting and coming back down, and then we see the 5-day expanding, then yeah, you're going to have to be cautious at that point. But as it stands, this is just gearing up for me for just a big bleed through, like the time frames are going to bleed into the next one. The 2-day will bleed into the 5-day, which then essentially the 5-day will just keep expanding the 2-week, which the 2-week still is giving us the Hamas setup. That's why it's a 2-week. So, it seems like we've been talking about this for months, but that is just how these 2-week setups work. They're very long. They're very different than a daily. But you can see even on the move down, like it didn't do much to BBWP on the 2-week. And you can see better on the index here, after putting in a major Hamas setup, after this being the last move from, what we know to be the below 30,000s to where we're at now, that's the move that basically got us there, giving us the same one. I really just think Bitcoin overall has all the higher time frame momentum in its favor. What we saw was really nothing merely than just a liquidity grab, a perfect retest of the 2-week EMA 9 while the weekly 9 continued to hold. Now, just, real quickly, I just want to see what the measured move was at this point. I know we've done this, but I just want to see because I'm curious. So that was, wow, 148%. And then let's see what we've had so far. Really started to expand. We'll just say when we broke that wick high, 47%. If we, I mean, going to right around the zone Farn was talking about, it's 70%. I mean, we saw an over 100% on this move, where basically volatility is at the same readings. We have 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. Yeah, so I mean, take that however you want to take it, but when you're getting all those volatility setups, especially on the 5-day, and that's going to statistically give us a 30 to 35%, and let's just assume it starts firing once we break this wick high. I mean, a 30 to 35%, that's 20. Let's see, takes us to 140,000, right around where the 61.8% is. I mean, from already the expansion now, assuming that wick high is where it started to, we're at 46%. If you add another 35% to that, you're pushing now close to 90% in gain. It's kind of on par with what this one did. So, just ties into the point of I really do believe that what we've seen is just like a major, trap for bears on that liquidity grab. Bitcoin basically got time to reset all its pretty high time frame BBWB setups, especially like on the 5 days, what I'm trying to show here. This, once expanding, really will just exacerbate this move up. I don't see the point to be bearish here, especially when we've just had that trend shift now. So bulls are fully back in control. Tether dominance truly looks like it's about to break down. And if we do start losing on the 5-day, this 3.79%, while we're getting a 5-day setup on Tether dominance, I mean, like I pointed out in the beginning, this is not the most absurd thing to really be talking about, going all the way back down to the 2.45% on Tether dominance. So, definitely good for Bitcoin bulls. I'm very happy about it. I'll quickly look at Bitcoin dominance just because we've always been looking at that, and shift it to the daily. We can see here, we've actually lost that EMA 100. That's an area that we were talking about that we essentially want to hold, and we see we're retesting it now. So you're generally now going to want to see this either get reclaimed for a nice SFP back to the median, or for this to actually reject where it's at currently. It's interesting to see that EMA 100 didn't hold. We can see we went all the way back to support. We've popped up. We're now retesting it. So this is actually going to be a pretty big close for today. This has implications for altcoins. This is probably why we're starting to see XRP kind of I know it's been doing well, but I mean, it just has been going parabolic the last 2 days. I don't think that's a coincidence that Bitcoin dominance has been doing bad. Quickly, ETH BTC, see if it's gone still under the 366 level. And now we see that median has shifted up. So, again, I like I said, alts like XRP, I literally said I can do well, but as long as ETH BTC is looking as terrible as it is, which it seems like it's in the midst of a major breakdown still, you just should not be bullish on any kind of altcoin, in my opinion, and understand that if you are, it's extremely high risk because this trend is still very down, and the monthly still looks like it's just brewing that lower low break. So, that's just to add context with the Bitcoin dominance breaking. That EMA 100, yes, it's okay, but I mean, really not much has changed. So, I mean, as long as ETH BTC is still under 366, doesn't really mean much to Bitcoin dominance or even alts. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. This didn't even get close to the gap fill. It's funny because this is a good learning lesson for everyone who's new here. How long has this gap been formed, right? How like, remember when this first was formed, when we made this high and we started to reject, how every motherfucker was basically saying that this has to get filled. Notice how this hasn't been filled. That's why gaps often get filled, but they don't need to immediately get filled when the market wants. And so this is just a good lesson here for that. Really haven't even gotten near it. CME is looking insanely bullish right now. We still have a premium over it. It just tells me that spot is still buying on CME, and it's just looking pretty insane with the daily volatility expanding. Let's see if real quick the 5 days giving us the same setup. It's not, it's still contracting.
I'd also throw in, if you look at the last cycle that we had, that we went from $3,000 to $69,000, basically Bitcoin did a 20x. If we only did a 10x from the lows, we would be at 150.
Interesting.
A 20x would be 300.
It's pretty insane. Bitcoin, as its size and the time we're in now, is already 6x from the low. I mean, you put in 100K at the bottom if you're just a lucky person.
Hey, at 300, one Chinese Bitcoin equals one Lamborghini Huracan.
Pretty insane. Like, you're pushing $600,000 in profit.
Yeah,
like pretty massive. So almost $1 million on your trade. But that's the point I'm trying to bring up on the 2-day. Is that one brewed? My memory is bad right now, but it was like 150% or something. Let me just check that out. Boom. What the heck is this? Oh, I zoomed in. I didn't even know you could do that. What the heck?
You young boomer.
Yeah, what am I doing? Okay. I mean, that is really not the most absurd thing, because the last Hamas setup gave us, almost 150%. That's why I'm saying, like, this 2-week is still brewing. It's still the same exact size as this one. If that 5-day does start to expand, let's say where this all-time high is, it doesn't need to. It could start expanding here. It could literally start expanding here at 125. But theoretically, since we're already, on these multiple closures, I think it's like, well, far into 3 of them on the 5-day. Multiple, essentially, you should start seeing this expand soon, especially when you're already at zero volatility. This starts expanding. We're already up 90 per, I think it was, let me see, let me go back to the 2-week. We're already up from this setup. I believe it was 40%. Let's just see. I took it from this wick high, essentially. You're already up 46%. If we had another 30 to 35% on that, you're pushing close to the 90% on gains. I mean, it's pretty insane. Right around, $146,000 Bitcoin, assuming that 5-day starts expanding. And the craziest part about that is it still wouldn't even put us anywhere close to where the average move was on this last Hamas setup, which Bitcoin has, let me check. Yeah, this is the index. Yeah, has never had this actually ever in the history of it, only twice. So, I mean, I have to take it as just that. If this gives us the same measured move of 100 and let's say 48%, that would put Bitcoin right at that $183,000 level, close to that $200,000 mark. Pretty insane, actually. Pretty insane. So for now, though, I'm just gauging the 2-day. I'm gauging the 2-day volatility. I want to keep seeing that expand. I want bulls to keep pushing us up. A pullback right around 104,500 wouldn't surprise me. We've already kind of shifted the daily trend. So any pullback now, you need to just look at that as an opportunity and really gauge the essentially the 99,300 zone for that opportunity for possible long trigger. And for me, if we get daily closures back above 104,500, that to me would then pop us up to the next zone, which is testing these wick highs. Testing those wick highs will be a big zone for Bitcoin because of what we know on the monthly. We end up testing and getting even just a wick above this high that was formed in December. I think that's going to cause an actual major short squeeze on Bitcoin. And then I would not be surprised if at minimum we see that $112,000, $111,000, if not all the way close to $130,000 on Bitcoin, which for context would be, in part kind of around where that 5 days, assuming it fires off anywhere around here, which again, it doesn't have to. So that's all I really see on Bitcoin. I agree with Farn. It's looking extremely bullish. No reason to be bearish on it. Tether dominance looks like it's about to break down. And that's it. So above 99,300, very good, very bullish. I think we're going to eventually test the all-time high and just make a new all-time high.
One thing I'm just looking at, and just like aesthetically, right? Put it on the weekly chart. Every time Bitcoin throws one of these candles that it looks like it got the 9 up the ass, you get these moves. Like every time it looks like the 90s going up the ass of a green candle, he does this. Like he did it here, basically here. Did it basically here. So that's what it's looking like right now. So this could be the next leg for the next move.
They loves grabbing all that liquidity before putting it in real move.
Yeah, and by the exactly and another thing Bitcoin loves doing is throwing you the lower low almost before the breakout.
Exactly, it does actually like to do that. Like even on that lower low break we had when we went to 89,000, and I still like thought we were gonna have the daily EMA 100. I'm still, even as me having that target around 88,000. Questioning, is this just a liquidity grab? Was this it? I've seen this so many times where we'll shift the trend. The level we finally have been waiting for that hasn't been hit finally gets hit, and that just marks the bottom. Just run it turbo. So, you know, it's why we often say, like, with these levels that everyone's talking about, it's either just going to get front ran. That's why I'm not too surprised. I still call it a win. You know, we basically got bearish at the most perfect time, but you know, we're either going to dump through that or front run it. And that's what Bitcoin likes to do. Dirty dance. So not out of characteristic for it at all. Definitely not.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we have Coinbase next. Oh, hang on. We got Coinbase and Tesla, but Mr. Garlic Bread is here. So let's do a XRP.
Beautiful XRP.
I'll do this one right now. Thank you. I was going to mute my microphone. Excellent. We're starting well.
I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. I'll be back before you finish translating.
Sounds good. If not, just take the microphone to the restroom with you.
Oh, perfect.
Ok, vamos a analizar Bitcoin rápidamente. Tenemos la diaria. Esta es una zona hermosa, divina. Esto, literalmente, el fondo del rango. Esta es la parte alta del rango. Y cada que rompemos el rango a la alza, que tenemos altos históricos. Acá lo hicimos, pero tuvimos un SFP que nos llevó para abajo, que nos hizo pensar aquí valió todo, y acá, una vez más, nos regresó. Habíamos puesto esta línea meme en diagonal que se me hace importante, y algo que también vale la pena decir es este tipo de breakouts, y esperando, ¿no? Ojalá nos gustaría que se pudiera quedar en esta zona, pero este tipo de breakouts, normalmente cuando se dan, y lo vimos en Rivian, vienen a retestear esto antes del golpe para arriba. Vamos a ver si esa oportunidad se da. Con que sea esa oportunidad, básicamente es la zona de los $99,000, entre 100 y 99 planos, porque el promedio del 9 bajaría subiría a esta zona, y de acá podría catapultarse al alza. ¿Por qué estoy diciendo eso? Porque, por ejemplo, si pongo la tabla de Rivian, es exactamente lo que pasó. En Rivian, y esto es lo que habíamos platicado, es rompiste a la alza, vas a tener que venir a retestear. Ahí está tu retesteo de esto si es que es alcista, y puedes ver justamente cómo está rebotando. Tenemos un poco ese escenario en la cabeza en Bitcoin, que esa podría ser la oportunidad. Si es que no te subiste con el long que mandamos para la academia, esta sería tu siguiente oportunidad, si es que se da, ¿no? Porque también hay veces que simplemente el precio te deja y se va. Es algo que queremos decir. Se ve bastante bien, sobre todo porque estás retomando este nivel. No tienes que ser un genio para entenderlo. Tener un cierre semanal en 2 días, 9 horas por encima de la zona de los 101,637 nos va muy probablemente a llevar a nuevos máximos históricos. Vamos a empezar el análisis bien, de lejitos. Vamos a empezar con la de 3 meses. Y en la de 3 meses podemos ver que todo sigue perfecto. Estamos alcistas. Tenemos esta vela que está rompiendo justamente la zona crítica. Y ahora va a ir a buscar a limpiar este máximo, que sería más o menos esto que estás viendo acá. Esta sería la siguiente vela, si todo se da bien, ¿no? Es la trimestral. En la trimestral, perdón, sigo con mi lapicito. En la trimestral tenemos bajos más altos más altos, y tenemos todavía nuestro setup de volatilidad que sigue empujando del punto más bajo que ha estado en toda la tabla en la trimestral. Estamos en 51% de volatilidad. Estás entrando, estás aprendiendo acá, no te sabes todos los términos. Rápido, esto es BBWP, esto es solamente un indicador. Para todos ustedes en la academia tenemos un video en la librería de cómo funciona el BBWP, así que no se lo pierdan. Solamente para que lo chequen por si tienen esa duda. Esta es la volatilidad. La volatilidad es la línea de colores. La línea blanca es el promedio de la volatilidad. Y normalmente esta línea roja quiere decir que estamos al 100%, líneas azules quiere decir que estás cerca del 0% de volatilidad y rangueas entre el 100% y el 0%. Nosotros consideramos cualquier cosa un setup. Cuando está arriba de 15%, estamos arriba de 15%, puse esta línea mamalona verde. No solamente estamos por encima del 15%, pero también estamos expandiendo a la alza por encima del promedio. Eso ya se considera como un setup de volatilidad con el precio empujando en la dirección en la que va, que es para arriba, ¿no? Es bastante claro. Aquí está tu setup de volatilidad y estás viendo lo que está pasando. Esto en la trimestral nos dice que Bitcoin tiene para empujar por un rato, por un rato. Vamos a la mensual. En la mensual, y aquí ya les puedo poner el HPDR, también estamos viendo, tenemos esta vela topera. ¿Cómo invalidamos una vela topera, señores? Simplemente cerrando por encima. Así como la validas cerrando por abajo en los 90,000, la validas cerrando por encima del alto histórico. Una vez invalidada, esta vela ya no nos tiene que preocupar y esto es simplemente para teoría de velas, ¿no? Para la gente que lo sigue, porque importante para nosotros nuestros puntos de compra y venta, pero también tienes que ver un poco de todo y encontrar esas buenas confluencias de, ok, tengo la vela, tengo esto, tengo el momentum de mi lado, tengo volatilidad de mi lado, todas estas cosas en confluencia para poder lograr tener un mejor análisis que te dé más probabilidades de tomar la decisión correcta en tu trade. Sigue empujando Bitcoin, está en $104,000. En la mensual tenemos volatilidad por fin dándonos en la mensual acá, lo puedes ver. Volatilidad está expandiendo ya por encima, lo está haciendo el día de hoy. Atentos porque esto es un gráfico mensual. La última vez que la volatilidad expandió en un gráfico mensual fue justamente acá. Puede ser una vela antes o una vela después, vamos a ver ahorita. Pero aquí lo tienes. Eso fue lo que nos dio y la volatilidad solamente llegó en la mensual al 59%. Acá lo tienes. No viene de zonas tan bajas como lo vino acá, pero tampoco bajó el 15%. Entonces podemos validar que esto probablemente nos vaya a dar un setup muy parecido, viendo esa volatilidad mensual comenzar a explotar a la alza. Ok, vamos a poner el HPDR para poder ver bien nuestros niveles, dónde estamos parados. Perdón por la tos de perro. Ok, nuestro HPDR mensual, venimos y nos recargamos justamente en la media para explotar a la alza. Esto nos da una alta probabilidad de poder llegar al 38.2%. En este momento el 38.2% está en la zona del 131,139. Atentos. Ahora, les voy a dar números loquísimos, pero también tenemos que entender el último ciclo de Bitcoin, que son ciclos de 4 años. El último ciclo de Bitcoin tuvimos un mínimo por ahí de los 3,000. Y 3 años después logró un máximo histórico en 69. Hizo un 20x, ¿ok? 20x. Ahorita, si Bitcoin hiciera un 20x del mínimo en 15, llegaríamos a 300,000. Si Bitcoin solamente hace un 10x en vez del 20, serían 150,000. Por lo que estos números no suenan tan pendejos cuando lo ves de esa forma. De nuevo, todo en el tope se ve lo más alcista, pero ahora sí que todo esto, técnicamente hablando, se ve alcista de a madre y no hay nada que nos diga otra cosa. Con el cierre mensual posible en 14 días y 9 horas, más alto que hemos visto en la historia de Bitcoin, y aparte con un setup de volatilidad apoyando el movimiento con esta vela verde. O sea, brother, ¿qué más quieres, no? Tenemos la de 2 semanas donde tenemos el setup de Hamas, tan famoso, el que siempre platicamos. ¿Por qué es el setup de Hamas? Porque la primera vez que lo vimos fue en octubre del 2023, fue cuando fue el ataque de Hamas. Lo relacionamos simplemente por la cantidad de expansión monetaria que hubo. Este setup de Hamas yo no lo viví entendiendo volatilidad en una tabla, entonces yo no lo pude cachar. El buen Farhan y Alex lo cacharon, pero este sí pudimos. Este setup lo vimos pasar, por eso le pusimos esto. Es un setup explosivo en el precio a la alza. Por eso el chiste de Hamas. Perdón, ayer le estaba explicando a un amigo mío judío el chiste y no le pareció tan gracioso. Es solamente un término, tío. Es un término explosivo. Tenemos la volatilidad, continúa expandiendo. Pueden ver que había perdido un poco esa fuerza, pero ahora repunta una vez más, está en 66.67% por encima del promedio y continúa. Y ahora, si esto llega a sangrar a la mensual estás viendo que tienes el setup de volatilidad potente, ¿dónde nos pone? Para empezar, esto nos pone en alto histórico. ¿Por qué? Porque estás entrando en la zona de por encima de la zona azul. Entrando por encima de la zona azul, el 38.2%, tienes probabilidades de pegarle al 50%, bastante altas. Y no nada más al 50%, en realidad deberías de ir hasta el 61.8%. Pero vamos a ponerlo en el 50, eso nos llevaría a un máximo histórico, porque el 50 está en 109.750 en este gráfico. Tenemos volatilidad apoyando el movimiento, tenemos este tipo de vela. Esta vela normalmente le decimos un hammerhead, y esto es una vela súper alcista, pero esta vela tiene 2 días, 9 horas para cerrar. Nada mal. Esta vela sería potente indicación de que va a reventar a la alza el precio. Vamos a la semanal. En la semanal tenemos algo interesante. Voy a poner... No, todavía no. Tenemos algo interesante en la semanal. ¿Qué ven acá? Si estás aprendiendo de velas, ¿qué estás viendo acá que es muy alcista? Tienes una vela envolvente alcista. Esta vela verde se lleva esta, y puta, si se llega a llevar esta, sería loquísima. Esta es la vela envolvente alcista más grande de toda la historia de Bitcoin. Es una vela que ranguea desde los 89,000 hasta los 104,000. Nada más. Es un velongo envolvente alcista de súper madre. Esta era una bajista, por cierto. Por más que parezca indecisión, esta era una vela envolvente bajista. ¿Cómo confirmarías esta vela envolvente bajista con un cierre abajo de los $92,000? Nunca cerró abajo de los $92,000, y cualquier cierre por encima de los 108,000 la cancela por completo y podemos olvidarnos de esa vela. Y tiene cara que esto nos está dando justamente ese setup. Me encanta cuando veo el 9, ahora sí que en el culo de la vela, porque eso nos quiere decir que el siguiente movimiento, ahora sí que el movimiento dará continuación explosiva. ¿Por qué lo digo? Porque cada que vemos al 9 metérsele así a la vela, puedes ver la reacción también desde acá hasta acá. Y les gusta el sonido especial que le puse también acá, ¿no? Entonces, cada que veo eso, me emociono. Solamente quiero que lo noten. También en la semanal no tenemos todavía nada, tenemos simplemente contracción en volatilidad, no nos está dando un setup, pero en el HPDR podemos ver aquí rápido un poco de confluencia con nuestros números, donde puedes ver que estamos justamente topando con la media. La media está en 103,962. Estamos por encima de la media. Estando por encima de la media nos da un viaje a esta zona, a la zona alta de la zona azul. Esta vela va a cerrar en 2 días y 8 horas y eso está en $121,000. Así que atentos. Nos vamos acercando un poco más. La de 5 días. Ahora, en la de 5 días vamos a hacerle el front run a la semanal. Y en esta tenemos un setup de jamás calentándose. Habíamos tenido unos antes y lo tenemos ahora otra vez, donde la volatilidad se contrae por 2 periodos, 2 sesiones de 5 días, 10 días por completo. Está aquí abajo. Estamos esperando a que nuestra volatilidad, este hilito azul, pueda pasar sobre el 15%, y una vez ahí sabemos que la volatilidad estará apoyando el movimiento que estamos viendo en la vela. Por ahora venimos a retestear la zona del 9, el promedio del 9, y eso nos dio el movimiento a la alza. Pudimos vencer este alto. Habíamos creado un alto más bajo, un mínimo más bajo, y ahora estamos rompiendo el mínimo más bajo y podemos ir a buscar un nuevo alto histórico. Una vez más, nuestro objetivo es poder romper los 108,500, más o menos, depende en qué exchange estés. Pero aquí tienes un setup de volatilidad potente, con la parte alta del canal estando en los 115, pero el 61.8%, porque si llegamos a empujar, debería llevarnos acá. Aparte, con volatilidad está en $127,000, más confluencia por ahí en ese número. Nos acercamos a la de 2 días. En la de 2 días pueden ver que estamos cerca de completar el movimiento en la parte alta del 38.2%, que nos llevaría a los 105,915, pero no sería suficiente simplemente eso. Lo que quiero que vean acá en la de 2 días también, me quito esto, tenemos nuestro objetivo en los 113,000, por cierto, en esta, pero lo que quiero que vean es, esta es la primera vez que una vela de 2 días toma este nivel. Ahorita se va a ver más claro en la diaria, pero pueden ver cómo se apoyó acá y subió. La diaria me está diciendo que esta va a ser una fuerte zona de soporte por ahora y lo que más probablemente veamos sea tal vez algo así. Eso es a lo que, bueno, esto es más o menos hopium para la gente que está de lado y que no entró en el long de la academia, pero aquí tienes la posibilidad del movimiento. Muy por encima del 9, 21, 34, todos los promedios donde deben de estar, y aparte tienes un setup de volatilidad en la de 2 días que se está apenas hoy dando, justamente acá con esta vela, para que lo puedan ver, pongo una vertical y es verde. Y el setup apenas está en 32.98%. 94%. Y vean que a Bitcoin, a la volatilidad en la de 2 días, le gusta estar en extremos. Le gusta llegar hasta la parte alta. Así que vamos a ver si se da. La primera zona de interés, 36.6%, y la segunda, 44%. A ver si puede romper esa barrera y crear un nuevo máximo de volatilidad por acá. Diaria. Diaria pueden ver exactamente, también tenemos un cero de volatilidad donde la volatilidad está empujando a la alza, igual sobre una vela verde, y ahí tenemos el resultado de ello. Acá estamos por encima de todos nuestros promedios, ya flipamos el 9 por encima del 21 y también el 34 y el 55, que es bastante bueno. Acá pueden ver cómo exactamente esta fue una zona importante de resistencia. Después nos dio este velazo para abajo para sacar a todo el mundo y acá lo usamos como soporte. O sea, técnicamente nuestra línea meme diagonal es soporte. Así que si tienes esta tabla, simplemente pon tu diagonal y sé que ahí vas a tener una oportunidad de compra cuando vengamos a tocarla y que confirme que va a rebotar. No se vaya a ir nada más de para abajo y ahí quedó todo. En la de 4 horas, por ejemplo. No, espérenme. No, ya habíamos visto la de 2 días. La diaria fue la que no vimos. La diaria, la parte alta del 78.6%, nos lleva a un máximo histórico. Y estamos entrando en la zona verde. Queremos definitivamente ir a tocar esta parte. Eso nos llevaría a un alto histórico. Estás creando mínimos más altos más altos, y continúa la tendencia en Bitcoin con todo. En la de 12 horas, acabas de tener un cruce plateado a la alza. Estás en la zona del 78.6%, estás intentando ir a buscar ese 78.6% que está en los 105, zona de alta probabilidad de este movimiento si continúa empujando, son los 108.791, nuevamente máximo histórico, y teniendo todos los promedios justamente acá, me fascina, sea como sea. Si venimos a recargarnos en ellos y empujar a la alza, esto es buenísimo. Y si no, esto te indica toda la fuerza que lleva el movimiento. En la de 12 horas, cabrón. Y en la de 12 horas, volatilidad está empezando a llegar a extremos, por lo que tal vez 108 no sea para hoy, pero tal vez los 105 sí. Ahora nos acercamos un poco más a la de 4 horas. Podemos ver que la de 4 horas también nos está dando un setup de volatilidad. Y en la de 4 horas estamos ya a punto de llegar al 88.3%, que está en 105,000. Es por eso que decimos que tal vez 105 el día de hoy puede ser un poco la zona donde tomemos un descanso y después continuemos empujando. Pero Bitcoin, damas y caballeros, se ve bastante, bastante bien. Te puedes comprar un Bitcoin chino, como dice Farhan, por simplemente $104,000. Nada mal. Y esto continúa, la fiesta continúa. ¿Dónde invalidamos todo esto? Perdiendo esta zona, la de los $99,000. Y aquí yo pondría también otra línea meme para todos ustedes que necesiten una referencia. Acá la vamos a poner ahí. Vean nada más qué chida salió. Che, línea meme. Ándale, güey. Ahí estás. Tenemos esta línea meme que coincide con esto. Esto sería la zona que no queremos perder. Perdida esta zona, tenemos que reevaluar cuál sería el movimiento. Pero por ahora, no mames. No, o sea, brother, no mames. Se ve muy alcista. Alrighty, sir. Let's get ready for some XRPP.
Garlic bread in the house.
Bread.
It looks like XRPP bears need some Chipotle away. With their underpants that are not soiled.
On every live I do, I congratulate the community members of XRPP for hanging around. That shit ain't easy, son.
It's not for everyone. It ain't easy,
everyone.
but it ain't much, but it's honest work.
But it's I love that phrase.
On the 6 month, which is what I kind of want to start off with, we are now solidly over the median. The last time around, we just barely, just slightly by a ball sack here closed over the median, which then gives us a probability of hitting the median again. We've done that already. Median sitting at $2.68. Not only that, but we've swept our previous all-time highs. XRPP has just now, for the first time in about 7 to 8 years, about 7 years has hit new all-time highs. First time in 7 years this thing has hit new all-time highs. Let's pat the community members on the back. Congratulations,
Absolutely.
fellas. Congratulations. After 7 years, you've hit new all-time highs.
I'll pat him in the asshole at this point. I mean, they've done a great job.
And the same thing happened that we were talking about in the last live stream, is that what's very likely to happen once you tap all-time highs, maybe sweep them, is probably get a pullback from there. It's not as deep of a pullback as I thought it would be so far, although we still got a long time to go. As of this moment, we've only gone down 19 cents. You go to our 6-month momentum, we are freshly turning up, just about to enter into the bullish control zone. Volatility is expanding to support it. The last time we've ever had this set up on what do you call it, the 6-month, where momentum is pointed up, volatility is also supporting it. That was about, and from these levels, was about right here, right in around July of 2017 and January of 2017, when we went from about 39 cents, no, less than, we went from a third of 1 cent to $3.29. I don't even know how many thousands of percent that is. Probably several 100x.
You need like 45,000%.
I think so. Let's see.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, just laugh.
Oh my God.
110,000%. 110,000%. That's like 1,000x.
Dude.
That's like 1,100x.
Oh,
If you put $1,000 into there, you'd have $1.1 million.
unbelievable.
Holy fucking hell. $1.1 million from $1,000. You're sitting at the Pagani meetup, like, yo, how did you make your money? Well, you know, I put $5,000 into this shitcoin called XRP. Dude, automatically all hate you.
Oh, instantly, because you didn't inherit your money the right way.
And if we close over this median, you'd have it. Like, keep in mind though, 38.2% moves a lot because of this is an insanely high time frame. Last time around, it moved from about $12 all the way down to $4.20. Beautiful number. But right now, which is gonna move down. Right now, it's sitting at $15.94. If we close over this median, what I would love to see is this 38.2% move right down to where this 161.8% is on the fib, around $6.38. And that would be the ultimate confluence that I need. That we're very likely going to go to that number if that happens. Right now, on the 3-month, we are getting over the 61.8%. The last time we've ever been to these levels on the HPDR was once again back in the 2017 cycle. We went all the way up to the 100%. Very unlikely to go to the 100% this time. I'm so certain that we're not going to go to the 100% that I will say if we touch the 100% as to where it is right now, I will move to Haiti with my cat. Because that 100% sits at $127.44. That would put XRP probably bigger than the entire stock market combined. Maybe comparable to the entire world economy.
It would be the entire world economy, yes.
So I'm pretty confident saying that we're probably not going to go to $127, and if we do, I will move to Haiti with my cat. And that's saying something because they like to eat cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. I love my pets. Do you love your pets?
They're eating the pets.
I love mine.
They're eating the pets. 3 months is now breaking into the bullish control zone on momentum. Volatility is supporting it. The jewel is breaking out of the bearish control zone. Like, it's just looking like stellar all the way around. Congratulations, Mr. Garlic House. Garlic bread is taking over now, though. On the monthly, we've already gotten 2 closes over the 78.6%. We just want one more close over the 78.6%, coinciding with the close over this 88.3%. Then pretty decent probability we go up to this 161.8%. As crazy as this number may sound, it's not even at the 95% on the HPDR. It's in the middle, somewhere around $6.38. Just imagine, like, how long was it ago? Not even 2 years ago, like maybe a year and a half, when it was trading at about 30 cents, to say that it's going to go to $3 and then $6. That's from 30 cents. That's like, what is that, a 10x? Yeah, 10x from there, and then to $6, that's a 20x. Absolutely insane in 1 year, 1.5 year to do it. Not even a 20x, but a 10x in 1 year, 1.5 years is mind blowing. And one of the biggest name cryptocurrencies as well. It's not like some absolute dog shit coin. It's consistently in the top 10 or top 15 cryptocurrencies. And right now it's in like
Sorry, I was listening to Scott Melker, and he was talking about this. Someone asked him, he goes, "Why do you think XRP and those cryptos are pumping?" And he goes, "I don't know, man. Like old people, like all of my friends that don't like crypto and that are not into crypto, that are boomers, all message me, and we're like, so what are we buying? Are we buying XRP, ADA? Like, are we?" So they're they're saying that, yeah, that boomers are gravitating towards it. So there you go.
Like whenever they show crypto on CNBC, they'll show Bitcoin, they'll show Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, and XRP. Those are the 6 that they show. I'm surprised that Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin and those shits are now popping off like XRP. Well, those things have never performed in their entirety, so then it kind of makes sense.
I think the XRP narrative is phenomenal.
Yep, with the world reserve currency.
Yeah, dude, come on. Come on.
Future of France.
Yeah, no one knows what the other ones do. Like everyone knows that if you buy Cardano, it comes with a chair for you to sit in the hotel. But other than that, no one knows what the benefits of the other coins are.
But hey, you'll get a very nice hotel chair.
Very.
It's
nice.
not going to be a Motel 6 hotel chair. It's going to be a Waldorf Astoria hotel chair.
Ooh.
And on the monthly, we're about to get a close over our current cycle highs, which is around previous cycle highs, which is around $2. If we get the 2021 cycle highs, my bad. If we get a close over that level, then that also increases the probabilities even more that we're going to go towards $6.38. Momentum is flipping back up. The volatility is flipping back up. We're getting to pretty high levels, though. We're not quite topped out. We're getting very close to being topped out, though. Last time we went to this area in momentum, we topped out at 100%, and that was in 2017. We're already higher than where we were in the momentum area in the 2021 cycle highs. So in this area, it would make sense to get a little bit of a pullback, not necessarily since we still got about 10% more to go comparable to 2017, but it would make a very good amount of sense to get a little bit of a pullback here, especially since they swept our previous all-time highs. I could see it like as deep of a pullback as somewhere around $2.90. So that would be a pretty decent percentage down. Let's see if compare from this top to 290. It's about like 12 to 15% down. And if we get that pullback, not guaranteed we will, but if we do get that pullback, then very, very likely that would be used as a spring upwards to somewhere around $4. $4 is psychological area, probably get a pullback there, back down to previous all-time highs, maybe somewhere around 330, and then from there, I'd expect it to go solidly into $6, because then we would have the closes we need over that 78.6. That probably also takes several months to play out. Probably takes, in realistic sense, minimum of around like 4 to 6 months, maybe even longer. 2 week is now getting pretty up there in momentum, somewhere around 93, 94%. Same thing with volatility. The jewel is just about to break into the critical zone. The HPDR bands is now getting solidly over the 88.3%, approaching the 95%. 95% is at $3.59. So if we do continue to see a move to the upside, this is a very, very high probability area that we'll get a pullback from, somewhere around $3.59, because you only have a 5% chance of continuation from there. That was the whole bias behind giving the short it on XRP at around $2.70 right here. It's because we were well past the 90 or approaching the 95%. I believe it was on the weekly. Yeah, the weekly we were touching the 95%. So that was the whole reason why I gave that short at 270 and had the TP at 196. And then I believe Alex gave the long at 195. That is now up how much?
It's big. It's bigly.
Yeah, 73%. Sheesh.
People better
That's
be
fucking
fucking
insane.
printing money. Yeah.
That's
Say
like,
gracias, fellas. Say muchas gracias. Weekly has now started to contract on momentum and volatility, which is pretty insane that we're hitting new all-time highs while momentum and volatility are contracting. Absolutely insane. And if we close over this 61.8% at $3.10, momentum and volatility will likely flip back up. and that takes us towards the 78.6%, which is that $4 number that's around psychological number we very likely get a pullback from. 5-day is now flipping back up, regaining the bullish control zone. Same thing with volatility, flipping back up at 70%. The jewel is starting to curve back around, losing the sell signal, flipping to neutral. On this next open, very likely it switches to buy, and then maybe one after that. So within 10 days, we probably do break back into the critical zone, and this time around, we probably stay in the critical zone. Like last time, it was just a quick deviation of the critical zone. Well, on bands, the H-Radar bands, we're correcting down to the 61.8% and kind of using that as a spring towards our current all-time highs. If we close like this, likely we go towards this 78.6, which is right above that 359 number, 363. Very high probability we get a pullback somewhere around 359 to 363, 365, because then we're going to be tapping 95% on the higher time frame. So then only 5% chance of continuation there. Very high probability of pullback. Then from there, once we pull back to maybe 330s, 2 to 290, then likely you go to $4. Two-day is now closed over the 78.6% with momentum pointed up, volatility pointed up. The jewel is now crossing over the pink, just about to cross over the yellow, breaking back into the bullish control zone. Very powerful buy signal. Since we close with the 78.6, high probability we go somewhere around mid threes, like 350, maybe 380. But I'm thinking 350 to 360s is going to be the pullback zone because of that 95%. Daily is now closed over the 88.3%. Momentum is pointed up. Volatility is pointed up. The jewel is giving a fucking amazing signal. Pink is now crossed over the yellow. The light blue has crossed over everything else. The jewel oscillator is about to make it into the critical zone. It's looking giga bullish. It's looking like Goku in Super Saiyan 4.
When it comes to bullishness, in fucking Goku Blue.
Oh yeah, Super Saiyan Blue.
Yeah.
Gogeta in Super Saiyan Blue.
Jesus. Fucking XRP.
Now we're approaching somewhere around the 90%. Likely doesn't make it all the way to the 95%. Probably somewhere in the mid 90s, around like $3.50, $3.60 to coincide with our high time frame 95%. Likely get a pullback there. Four-hour momentum is now just about to break into the bearish control zone. Volatility is flipped up. Very much so does support the idea of pulling back after we hit our previous all-time highs, which we're getting now. We are now just about to lose, just about to lose this blue 38.2% zone after it's caught up with price. If we close below $3.25, we'll have lost it officially. And then from there, we likely come back down somewhere around this 21 EMA, which is right around $3, that psychological level. Then below there, around the 95%, which is about $2.95. This is the area I think we're going to find our local bottom, somewhere between, if we continue to pull back, somewhere between $2.95 to possibly $2.85. Unless the bottom is in right now, the way to confirm the bottom being in right now is we have to close over 325. So assuming we close below 325, we're likely to correct down to 290, which is the same thing we've been saying for the past couple of weeks. Sweep all-time highs, then correct to 290. Congratulations, community members.
You fucking did it.
Now we can finally drop the bag holder name and just stick with community members. Momentum on the 6 month is going to be pointed up, breaking into the bullish control zone as long as we're closing above 44 cents. I think that's safe. Quarterly volatility is now flipping up from the lowest levels it's ever been at, breaking into the bullish control zone, and we're going to be flipped up as long as we're above $1. Monthly is getting pretty high on volatility. We're at 86%. Moving average is still well behind it at 51%, so we can still continue this. Going to break into the critical zone and be pointed up as long as we're above 146. 2 week is getting pretty high, pretty close to contraction on volatility. We're just right at the moving average. If we drop below it and close below it, that will confirm volatility contraction. Right now, we are very slightly below the moving average. So if we close right here, that would kind of confirm volatility contraction. And we're coming off of a major Hamas setup. And you can see that we've kind of played out this Hamas setup because we went from 50 cents all the way up to $3.40. So that's like almost a 6x.
Mm-hmm.
We're breaking into the critical zone, and we're going to be pointed up as long as we're above $2.35. Weekly has already started contracting. Pretty crazy to see new all-time highs on contracting volatility. Pretty insane. We're about to flip back up, regain the critical zone, and be pointed up above $2.90. That gives confluence to why this area is very likely to be our next logical area of major support, right around $2.90. 5-day also contracting on volatility, flipping back up, regaining the critical zone, and pointed up as long as we're above $2.63. 2-day is pretty high on volatility, still not quite topped out yet because it likes to hit many periods of 100%. And we're going to regain the critical zone, flip to the upside, reject the bearish control zone, and we're going to be pointed up as long as we're above $2.79. Daily is pointed up, getting to pretty high levels in the volatility of around 89%, and still move up because it likes to hit many periods of 100%. And we're going to actually starting to flip down a little bit. It's going to flip down as long as we close below $3.25. Supports the idea of the pullback if we close below it. And now the 4 hours also contracting on volatility after many periods of 100%. And we're flipping down on momentum, breaking out of the critical zone. We're pointed down as long as we're below 331. So every single high time frame is looking insanely mega giga bullish. The pivot on the 6 month is literally 44 cents. I don't think that's going to happen this next couple of months. The 3 month pivot is $1. Even the 1 month pivot is about like $2. All of these pivots seem pretty safe. The most like logical pivot, I believe the monthly one was about the 2 week was $2.90. So that's the and plus we're getting the on the lower time frames volatility contraction after sweeping our previous all-time highs. It seems like the idea is playing out that we gave off the past couple of weeks, that we would sweep the all-time highs and from there get a pullback to somewhere around 290. We're already getting momentum flicking down in the lower time frames. We're getting volatility contraction. What's most likely to happen is if we don't go to 290 from here, maybe if we get one more leg up, maybe we go to like 350s. I don't think it's very likely. I think we get the pullback from here. Probably pull back somewhere around 290 at the lowest, maybe 280s, but I think 290 is going to hold. And then from 290, I think we go somewhere between 360 and $4. Probably very likely get a pullback at $4. And then if we can maintain $3.30 on a monthly closing basis, we very likely go to $6.
Mr. Garlic Bread, why so bullish?
Why so bearish?
Well said. Well said. Thank you for that. We'll get into Coinbase now with you, Alex. There you go. Ok. Estamos viendo XRP. Felicidades una vez más. Felicidades a toda la gente que tiene XRP. Nunca imaginé que fueran a estar bueno, no en lo correcto, pero que les fuera a dar este pompazo. ¡Qué locura! ¡Qué locura! Ok, estamos viendo XRP en la trimestral, bastante alcista, sobre todo porque creamos un nuevo alto histórico después de 7 años. La última vez que lo hicimos fue en el 2018, para que tengan una referencia. De ahí, la vez que hicimos un alto local fue el 2021, en abril, y de ahí no hemos hecho absolutamente nada más que ranguear de abajo, pero creando nuevos mínimos más altos, toda la zona. Así que excelente, estamos por encima del promedio del 9, encima del promedio del 21, 34 y continuamos.
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Really sorry to interrupt you. TP2 on the Academy long is just hit.
Nice, very nice. Ok, el Take Profit 2 en el long de Bitcoin que mandamos a la Academia ya llegó, solamente para que estén atentos por si no lo están monitoreando, no lo tienen, por alguna razón no lo pusieron en su orden de compra. Listo. Imprimiendo dinero en el E-Trading Academy, señores. Chingada madre, como se debe. Ok, tenemos nuestro setup de volatilidad en la trimestral, que venimos del punto de volatilidad más bajo de toda la historia en XRP, en la trimestral, y podemos ver el repunte. Estamos en 67% y saben que le gusta llegar al 100%, lo han visto acá. Así que esto puede ser el principio de algo muy bonito para toda la comunidad de XRP. Vamos a la mensual. En la mensual también vemos que estamos un poco llegando a extremos. De nuevo, los extremos no son enemigos de XRP. Además, barriste este máximo en volatilidad de antes, lo que me hace pensar que te va a llevar al 100%. Volatilidad está en 88.86% en este momento. El promedio lo está siguiendo muy por debajo, lo que es bastante bueno. Y eso nos pone justamente con esta vela, para que lo tengan como referencia. Esos velongos tremendos que ha puesto XRP continúan. Vamos a poner rápido el HPDR porque así tenemos bastante, ¿cómo se dice? tenemos bastante confluencia en esto. Acá estamos en el 88.3% y para llegar al 95%, que es 14 dólares, estamos ya en una zona donde solo queda 5% de probabilidad de que ese movimiento se dé en la mensual. Ya vieron nuestra volatilidad. ¿Qué nos quiere decir eso? Cuando ves que estamos entrando en rangos ya de donde solamente tienes 5% de continuación, de probabilidades de continuación, muy probablemente vayas a ver un pequeño pullback o un jaloncito a la baja. Y ahorita yo creo que en estas temporalidades lo van a ver mejor. Vamos acercándonos. La de 2 semanas, básicamente casi llegamos al 95%, que está en casi 6 centavos, está en 3.59. Estamos cotizando en 3.2 dólares en este momento, después de venir de hacer este alto histórico. Y nuestro cero de volatilidad en la de 2 semanas ya nos empieza a decir que hay contracción de la misma. ¿Ok? Esto quiere decir que en la de 2 semanas no tenemos un nuevo cero fresco de volatilidad, pero puede seguir empujando un poco más antes de cansarse. No nos sorprendería ver a XRP venir al 95% y de ahí venir a relajarse tantito por esta zona y después dar continuación al movimiento que estaba dando antes, solamente para que lo tengan presente y en mente. Eso rima bastante bien. Ok, vamos a la semanal con XRP. XRP, de nuevo, estamos entrando en la zona del 61.8%, la zona verde, y nos encantaría venir al tope, que son los 4 dólares, que es algo que nosotros creemos va a ser posible. No instantáneamente, pero si no son semanas, en el próximo mes o 2. Lo que también estamos viendo acá en la semanal es la volatilidad contrayendo para darnos otro setup de volatilidad como el que nos dio acá, que fue lo que nos llevó a esos números. Básicamente lo puedes ver acá. Eso fue la primera parte, pum, 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 hasta arriba. Y ahora estamos en el extremo, creando el nuevo máximo histórico. Creemos que esto es bastante posible, simplemente necesita un poco de aire. Estamos muy por encima del promedio del 9. El promedio del 9 está en los 2 dólares con 65 centavos, lo que también nos hace sentir cómodos y también saber que tiene rango hasta ahí para venir a retestear, aunque nosotros creemos que este es 50% y pueden ver la confluencia con la línea meme doteada, no punteada, serviría como una buena base para soportar el precio. Esta vela va a cerrar en 2 días y 8 horas, lo que va a hacer que todo esto se mueva. Vamos a la de 5 días. La de 5 días en XRP estamos en el 78.6%. Aquí, para que vean, es lo que nosotros pensamos que podemos venir a esta zona, justamente al 3.6, antes de empezar a consolidar. Pero ahora sí que es difícil saber qué va a pasar primero o después. Volatilidad en las 5 días está dándonos el read más adelantado de lo que ya vimos en la semanal, que es bastante normal. Y nos vamos a acercar un poco más a la de, quiero ver la de 3 días. 88.3% hasta acá en el 3.9. Sí, o sea, los 4 dólares se ven no imposibles pronto, próximamente. Así que atentos por ahí. Lo que pensamos simplemente es que, aparte tienes expansión de volatilidad en la de 3 días, pero también estás llegando a dobles extremos, lo que nos llevaría definitivamente, muy probablemente a esa zona. Lo pueden ver acá en la de 2 días como la volatilidad sigue continua a la alza y va a querer hacer un doble extremo, pero pueden ver que ya no está apuntando tan agresivamente a la alza como lo estamos viendo en la de 3 días, lo que nos dice que esta zona también del 3.8 podría ser el objetivo en vez de los 4, más inmediato, pero vamos a ver en la diaria que tenemos. La diaria continúa expandiendo nuestra volatilidad a la alza, está en 89%. Y estamos a punto de llegar al 95%, el 95% está en 3.8. No se nos haría imposible eso, justamente ese escenario entre 3.8 4 dólares próximamente. Simplemente ver la volatilidad así nos hace pensar que podríamos ver algo así, por ejemplo, acá que te haga la jugadita asquerosa y después apuntar. Pero en todas las temporalidades, lo veas como lo veas, XRP, y vamos a ver rápido la de 4 horas para ver si ya estamos en extremos y cayendo. Sí. Ya estamos en extremos y cayendo, y en la de 4 horas estamos, interesante, peleando con la zona del 38.2%. Vamos, si no podemos cerrar arriba de 3.255, muy probablemente vayamos a ranguear hasta la zona posible de los 3 al 88.3. Los 3 sería, entonces más o menos veríamos esto. Acá. Wow. Ni Da Vinci dibujaba tan chido, güey. Da Vinci era un inventor. Sí, pero también dibujaba mamadas. O sea, déjenme en paz. O
Nice
sea,
little
nadie sabe
inverse
cuál es
head
la
and
verdad.
shoulders.
In here?
The meme line that you drew was a nice little inverse head and shoulders.
Oh, yeah. It looked really, really good and technical too. Sí. Así que XRP se ve con demasiada fuerza para continuar. Simplemente va a tener que dar un respiro para después continuar esos movimientos agresivos a la alza. Felicidades a la comunidad de XRP. No lo puedo creer todavía. Alrighty, let's do the coin. The base for the coins.
In about 7 minutes, I'm going to be heading out for my flight.
All right, sir.
Coinbase. All right. Let's see. You guys can hear and see me, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, good. So right now on Coinbase, we're at a pretty crucial spot. It was going to be actually quite important for bulls to push this up, just very much like what on Bitcoin. Massive shooting star on the monthly. Often then with those, you get to follow through onto the next monthly. We see we did have that downside move, but we simply retested that 230 area before, almost retesting the 230 area before bouncing. That's a major zone on Coinbase. That 230 zone is pretty massive, and the fact that the 9 on the monthly was right around there was a logical place to start looking for at least some kind of reaction. We got a very nice reaction on this monthly candle. We're up now 19.3%, and we see we're actually pressing the top of the 38.2% on the monthly. Pretty massive zone here on Coinbase. You know, as a bull, your objective for this month is just to get us above 300. Any close above 300 to me opens up the door to really at least test close around that, you know, wick high around 340, 347. It's going to be actually a pretty major spot going into February for Coinbase. We see here monthly volatility is at the lowest on the monthly. So it's all just kind of shifting gears for Coinbase to put in a major move to the upside. Once we actually do break above the 50%, we see really closely the 61.8%, and the top of this meme line is right around the top of my meme line is just based on that wick, that rejection we had, and then the front run of the bearish retest right around 380. But we see the 61.8% says it could definitely go higher, closer to actually 398, close to $400. You see, once we actually get back above $400, it opens up a major move on Coinbase to actually test 600. Now, the way Bitcoin's posturing right now and gearing up potentially for a bigger move once that 5-day volatility setup actually fires off doesn't make me really doubt this $600 number, assuming that Coinbase actually does break out of this $400 range. But for now, we're at resistance, so we want to be very cautious of that. We're testing the top of the 38.2%. So as a bear, you know, this is kind of like the last spot for bulls before we end up breaking out. Going to the 2-week now, this is closing today. This is actually turning into an insane 2-week candle. And what this is actually looking like to me is just simply the trend. I mean, if we throw the trend wave catalyst on, I mean, we had a low, we formed another high, we came down, formed a higher low, had the higher high break, came all the way down, and now it's looking like that a monthly EMA 9, 2-week EMA 9, and also the meme line is grinding out some kind of higher low here. Now you can see just based on, you know, the meme lines here, it's a pretty massive zone for Coinbase. There's not many occurrences really where we've had multiple 2-week closures back above $300. We had it on this breakout, we had it here, and then we had the breakdown. Other than that, I mean, there really hasn't been too many bullish candles above the $300 mark. That's why for me, it's going to be a major point for bulls to actually defend, assuming they actually can reclaim that into possibly today. That's why I'm going to really watch closely to see if we can actually close this 2-week above this 300. It looked like a massive SFP to me, nice higher low. And then really what's looming is, you know, the wick high is around that 335, if not actually breaking this wick high and forming that higher high, which could, give us the next target closer to $380. It's quite interesting. We see here, we actually are pumping out of a 2-week volatility setup on Coinbase. We actually see here on this 2-week, very much like how the monthly is at the lowest BBW period. See the 2-week actually is at the lowest and expanding from it. Now this occurred back, quite a while, back in August, but this just shows you, and this is kind of what I showed on Bitcoin as well. When you get these 2-week setups, they often don't happen a lot. And when they do, the expansion up can just take a very long time. Unlike what the daily or even like the 5-day can be like, the 2 weeks is very powerful. And that setup is still firing us off. And that does make sense on why the overall macro trend is still up. I mean, Coinbase, after breaking the high in December, came down, was a nasty rejection, but it really didn't do anything to the overall trend. And as we've seen, especially with the posturing of this monthly 9, below it's very not good. I mean, granted, you get chopped, but generally speaking, below it often leads to just that more aggressive move down. But when you're above it, you generally want to see that hold as support. So Coinbase to me looks like it is on the verge of a major breakout, assuming we can close the day this 2-week above $300. Look really good. And even the 2-week here, if we throw the HBDR on, you can see this is actually going to be the first 2-week close where we're breaking out of the blue zone. Has not occurred since essentially this breakout point here where we rallied up, broke out of the blue zone. And then that essentially led us to basically the highs. I mean, we retested the blue zone here, came up, and then, at that point that led to 178% move. So why am I bringing that up? Well, that to me is looking like that's what's going to occur very soon. What I would really like is for us to basically reclaim the 38.2% while also reclaiming the $300 mark. That would be nice. Shifting the 38.2% up, matching the $300 level would just make it very easy to identify the breakout. Till then, though, the overall trend is still up on Coinbase. It's interesting to see people kind of disregard Coinbase right now, because to me seems like it's on the verge. We even see here the median right now is at $307.93, basically $308. So just something to mention. I mean, we've been under this 5-day median for a while. We do know, though, once we're under that median, if you can see in this example here, we lost it. We were rejecting it, came up, rejected it. It really wasn't until we broke back above the 5-day median where this move actually really started to take off. So, it's going to be a good gauge to see where this 5-day actually flips into next close. But you can really gauge this where if we start reclaiming on a 2-week to $300 mark, then I'll really be gauging the next 5-day close to see if we reclaim that.
Gonna head out. Hasta luego.
Peace
Have
out.
a good one, dude. Have a safe flight.
Good luck.
And $105,000 Bitcoin.
Sheesh.
Right
Printing.
now. Oh, down. Literally. Huh. So, I mean, Bitcoin's going up. It only seems right to be bullish on Coinbase. Coinbase is one of that more higher beta stocks on the stock market. It just seems like right now, Coinbase, yes, it's gone up nice, but it's at a really big point now. So as a bull, your objective is really to just get back above $300, hold that. You then want the 5-day to reclaim the median. If doing so, then that'll be our higher high break, and we'll actually test, right around $366. That'll then take out the high here. This will really solidify that this is a next higher low. For me, confirmed once we do actually get back above 300 and most importantly, the 5-day median. But then, I mean, in doing so, it is going to give us a nice move at that point from the median, assuming it doesn't move down. Talking about an 18% move up on Coinbase brewing. So it's very close. You're going to want to start seeing bears reject us here now, or they're going to really run the risk of that 2-week actually reclaiming the $300 mark. To shift things to the 3-day, you're really starting to see volatility contract. This is technically, though, giving us a setup. We see here it started to expand on that move down, but then now with that SFP, this is still in the up. It's still expanding. It's still above 15%. But the nice part now about this is bulls are starting to gain control. You see that the 3-day EMA 9 has just been holding us down. We're now very above that. This is closing, unfortunately in 4 days just because of the weekend and stuff. But what we see is, again, just pressing the median before the bigger move up. That's why it's just going to be really important. Again, we keep seeing major levels on the charts telling us, yeah, 300 is pretty massive. Major support, lost it, led to a major breakdown, rally straight up. Now, is this going to be flipped? What was support into resistance, reject the 5-day median, reject the 3-day median, and then actually come back down, or bust up above 300 and start breaking out? That's kind of what's on the table here for me when viewing Coinbase. The fact, though, that I'm really on the edge that this is going to break down is just simply because of the posturing of the monthly here. Again, just like what I showed, I think it was on the 2-week, whenever we lose the blue zone, it doesn't happen a lot on like the 2-week or the monthly. You can just simply see here, losing that blue zone here back in June of 2023, broke out, retested, acted as support. I mean, that's, again, what led us to that parabolic move up on Coinbase. And this actually has only happened one time. So this is the only occurrence where on the monthly, we've gotten back above the 38.2%. On that retest here, I'll take it from the wick low. You can just simply see from that high, we went up 500%. Pretty insane, actually. So that's why I'm just on the camp. When I see the lowest monthly BBWP, I see Bitcoin breaking 105,000, flipping the trend, giving us a 5-day setup. I really do believe Coinbase is on the verge of breaking out. Now, that $300 is just going to be the big zone. Once reclaiming that, you have to then logically start looking at this wick high, which luckily for us lines up right around the 50% mark. That's going to be a very important zone, because just like on Bitcoin, whenever you put in those monthly reversal candles and you're a bull, the objective is going to be to invalidate that by getting above that wick high. If we get back above this wick high on Bitcoin, it's going to squeeze us. And same exact thing on Coinbase. This is just going to lead to a major squeeze up. Sure, a lot of people took the short once we started losing 300. And I mean, the only logical spot at that point would be right here at this wick high. So I can just imagine there's going to be a lot of stops. Similar to here when we just made that wick high and got followed through. It was once we essentially broke this wick high, essentially that is what brung us up. Or you can even look at here. Once we broke that again just I know it led to a rejection at the end, but still it led to a 22% move once we essentially broke up. So I do think that potentially could be brewing for Coinbase. But $300, I wouldn't be longing this where this is at, personally speaking. Because bears are going to try to reject us here, and then they're actually going to try to take us all the way back down under essentially this low at 240. First logical point, if we reject the top of the range, is to go to the bottom of the range. A pullback down back to 266 wouldn't surprise me, as long as we don't break this last low here. We want this low to hold across the board on Bitcoin, on Coinbase, because then that really will mean that, yeah, this was a major low, a major liquidity grab, and we just flipped the trend. Even on Coinbase today, on the daily, we broke the last lower high. So any kind of pullback into this zone, I'm looking as potentially a long opportunity with your entry here. Your stop can just be here. Now, it's a little far, so you want to make sure you're using the right leverage, but as long as we stay above the daily median here, plus above the 265, generally that's just been good for Coinbase. So you're gonna want it to hold. You get a pullback, you're gonna want that to get retested. But again, just like I said on Bitcoin, after you make a higher high, it's only logical to expect a pullback. But when you're getting a volatility setup, it was very close to resetting, but now it's just firing off. It's really hard to start really looking for anything other than retest when you're in kind of the bull mode. So don't be longing right now at 300 to just be haram. You're literally longing major resistance. I'd be waiting to see if we actually get that 2-week above 300. If we get a major higher time frame close, like a 2-week, that then can just start guiding our 2-day, our 3-day, our daily, and then most importantly, the monthly, leading to the higher high break. So no matter how you look at it, Coinbase is continuing to look strong. Makes sense. I'm actually curious to see, maybe we'll look at MicroStrategy later, because that honestly has been sold down compared to like Coinbase and MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has been sold down hard.
But he's issuing more shares.
True.
He's issuing more shares. So
True.
that hard to gauge.
Yeah, no, it is hard to gauge, and it is hard to compare. But I mean, if Coinbase, how I'm making the representation is if Coinbase is looking like it's about to possibly break out, MicroStrategy could be potentially the lagging one. So that is something that we should watch closely. But I personally wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase, within February actually does go up and test this high, if not actually make a new higher high at 380. That to me seems like a very logical objective, especially when we know the monthly is just right around there, and we see, okay, the 50% would then break that wick high, probably slingshots us back to the 61.8%. The only logical place to look for some kind of pullback, because of the data we're working with, breaking that zone, I mean, then really puts us at stupid numbers. It's 100% move from there. So dealing with some pretty insane stuff on crypto. Coinbase, still very bullish, but just like what I said on Bitcoin, I don't see a reason to be aggressively longing Coinbase right now, especially at the level it's at. It's had a very impressive move up. It's very close now to reclaiming some major, level. I would just personally wait for that, because even if you're longing here for that idea that we're going to just break out, what happens if we start rolling over and you're holding a long at 300, 298? It's a lot easier always for me to, okay, we moved up, we're retesting, let me go long at this point. And then, maybe I'm throwing this trade on a very low leverage or low size, because my logical stop is just anytime if we lose this zone on a daily close, I'll cut the trade.
Yeah. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds.
That higher high,
there you go. You're back.
Oh, okay, good. I was saying, when you have a downtrend like what we did, and you have this chop, and it's not the clearest, but we still are in a downtrend. We see that, this essentially led down to that lower low. That first spot was reclaiming that EMA 100 major point on any chart. Anytime we reclaim that often leads to nice moves. But then also, if you were a bull just waiting to get long, you'd have to wait for the trend to shift. And so today we have that. You're gauging any pullback around 266 as a major opportunity. It doesn't have to go to 266 either. It very easily could just go back down to the 38.2% base there and then go up. The EMA 9 grinds up and just matches price right around there. But in my worst case scenario, if we end up getting a major pullback around here, 266 could be the logical place to go long. That's all I really see on Coinbase, though. With a new trend shift, the higher high, you often will get a higher low. I'd patiently wait for that. It's not an easy job. It's not always just going to go to the meme line and then bounce and you just caught an easy long. That's why when you're on higher low watch, you have to have your invalidation. And then anywhere around here, you have to just understand a higher low can be formed. We're going to use the moving averages, the median, and the meme line to try to gauge where that can come. But that nothing is ever certain in trading, just like in life. So, as it stands, we're at resistance. Wouldn't long here. Just wait, see where the 2-week closes. The 2-week can actually reclaim 300. You're going to just want that to simply keep holding. We even see right around the 280 is right around where the 38.2% is on the 2-week. So maybe we don't even test 266, which is right around the 2-week 9, because we've already bounced off there. Maybe we just close above 300, wick down to 280s, test right around where the breakout is on the daily, right around 280.
Sorry, just giving him some time. Oh, there you go. Okay. Sorry. You just came back for this one.
Good Lord.
All righty. I know. I'm sorry that it's Mexico rules, son. You got to put up with some shit. Tesla next, por favor.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. And excited. Fucking Coinbase looking good, man.
Yeah, it is.
Really good.
Not bad, honestly.
Yeah. Vale, pues vamos a ver Coinbase a petición de... ¿Quién pidió Coinbase? P. Diddy, hijo de puta. All don't know why I wanted to give a shout out to whoever asked for the Coinbase ticker, because he literally asked for, like, he was one of the first ones. So I wanted just to be like, all right, I'm giving you a shout out. Let me see who it is. He goes by P. Diddy on
Oh, wow.
the chat. Yeah,
Watching
excellent.
Wow.
Excellent. I'm glad Diddy's watching from jail. All right, well, Diddy, ahí lo tienen. Diddy nos pidió Coinbase para todos ustedes y aquí lo traemos en vivo y en directo. Vamos rápido a la trimestral como siempre. Esta tabla es más fácil de lo que pensamos. Y yo creo que esto te pone todo en contexto. ¿Por qué? ¿Cuál es la zona importante? La zona importante en realidad es la de 266. Porque nunca, que no te engañe esta vela, la primera vela con la que abrió Coinbase, nunca has tenido un cierre encima de 267 en la trimestral. Nunca, lo pueden ver, ¿no? Y ahora estás por encima. Esto para mí es una zona de breakout. Ahora, esta es una vela trimestral, faltan 2 meses y 15 días para cerrar, por lo que no te puedes simplemente fiar en ella. Ves que Coinbase está en absoluta, en volatilidad al 100%, no nos está diciendo absolutamente nada eso. Y no voy a poner el HPDR, hay muy pocos datos, ¿ok? En la trimestral. Pero vamos a la mensual, a que nos dé otra fotografía por acá. Ok, en la mensual, nuestro cierre más alto fue 319. Bien. ¿Qué estamos haciendo acá? Estamos consolidando, simplemente consolidando. Estamos creando bajos más altos, los puedes ver con esta línea meme que ha estado acá todo el tiempo. Y puedes ver también que estamos por encima de nuestro promedio el 9 y el 21, que cruzaron justamente acá. Una vez cruzados en la mensual, te dieron todo este movimiento. Es un movimiento de principio a fin de 206%, solamente para que sepas lo potente que son estos cruces en gráficos temporales de mensual, trimestral, etcétera. Cada que ves eso, sabes que hay algo bueno cocinándose. Puedes ver que también la volatilidad está entrando en el punto más bajo, el que ha estado en toda la vida, y volteándose para arriba en la mensual, lo que nos hace pensar que se viene un setup potente de volatilidad. No va a ser un setup de jamás porque no viene de cero, pero mínimo nos va a dar una buena explosión a la alza. Será, no, ya voy a dejar de nombrar ataques terroristas, no mames. Ok, eso es la mensual, simplemente voy a poner el HPDR. Y podemos ver el HPDR como literalmente estamos en la zona del 38.2%, que es $300, cabrón. $300. ¿Y dónde está la media? En los 235, 230 y en los 200, bueno, 236 y 232 para el promedio del 9 en la mensual. ¿Qué es lo que estamos buscando? Simplemente tener un cierre por encima del 38.2%, que son, una vez más, $300. Queremos cerrar encima de los $300. Un rechazo en esta zona también no sería fuera de lo normal, y este rechazo nos podría llevar acá y podría detenernos justamente en esta zona de los 240 a los 260 personalmente. Y también lo que dijo Alex es, creemos que la zona de los 260, por lo importante que es en el gráfico trimestral, vaya a ser la zona de máximo interés si es que llegamos a ella. Porque ahora en temporalidades más cercanas, y ahora lo van a ver, veamos. En temporalidades más cercanas, acá podemos ver una cosa. Bueno, la volatilidad no nos está dando absolutamente nada, pero acercándonos por acá, podemos ver que nuestro promedio del 9 en la de 2 semanas está acá. También hemos visto que después de esta caída estamos buscando formar nueva estructura alcista. Aunque hayas tenido este bajo, esta vela es una vela alcista. Este sigue siendo un bajo más alto que estos. Y ahora vas a intentar ir a barrer los máximos en 350 locales. Recuerda que hay un tope en el máximo histórico, es mucho más alto. Entonces, solamente para que lo puedan ver en velas, para que quede claro. Vela topera, sí. Confirmación de la caída, sí. Luego tuviste esta, también es una segunda confirmación. Esta es la vela que va a definir todo en 4 horas y 3 minutos, porque lo que queremos es que esta cosa simplemente cierre por encima y no tiene, no, ya estando ahí donde está, solamente tiene que cerrar por arriba del 289. 289 invalidas las velas toperas. Esta vela topera. Ahora, viendo lo que estamos haciendo, estamos creando nuevos máximos, aunque hayan hecho máximos más bajos por acá, y estás creando mínimos más altos, ¿ok? Y eso nos da todavía más confluencia con esta zona de los 263, 266, que es la idea de que probablemente ahí es donde veamos. Me quito esta chingadera. Ya veo que es con eso. Estamos justamente siendo rechazados por acá. Simplemente queremos aguantar arriba de esta zona. Con eso vamos a ver dónde se mueve todo esto en 4 horas y 2 minutos para dar continuación al movimiento. Vamos a ver la semanal. La semanal estamos por encima de la media que está en 285, 276 nuestra 9 y nuestra volatilidad está contrayendo. No tenemos absolutamente ningún setup de volatilidad. De nuevo, estábamos formando, y esto es algo que les quiero enseñar. Estábamos formando y estamos todavía en una tendencia bajista. Tienes este máximo con este máximo que había logrado antes, que ahora es este, ¿no? Tu breakout esencialmente está ocurriendo. Cabrón, déjame ponerla donde quiero. Acá. Pero también acá tuviste mínimo y un mínimo más bajo. Por eso todavía estás jugándole al riata. Y por eso este breakout nos debería de dar un retesteo de esta zona, que es donde está el 9 en los 276, antes de irse a Valhalla. Entonces, es un poco lo que acabamos de ver con Bitcoin, que rompió, tuvo una vela que cerró por encima de esto y después disparó a la alza. Es lo que queremos empezar a estar pendientes en esto, porque todavía en sí estás en una tendencia bajista local, donde creaste este máximo más bajo, ya rompiste el máximo más bajo, pero también hiciste un mínimo más bajo. Lo único que quieres es aguantar por acá, y si eres alcista, quieres cerrar arriba de los $300. Quieres una oportunidad, la primera oportunidad grande, si se llega a dar, van a ser, la zona de interés van a ser esta de los 270, 265. Esa sería la oportunidad perfecta. Si no, cualquier cierre arriba de 300 te da números pendejos en el HPDR para que veas. Cerrando por encima de eso, puedes ir tranquilamente a números de por acá, o sea, de $400, $500. Nada más la cosa es poder, ahora sí que tener paciencia y esperar a ver cuándo exactamente se va a dar el breakout. En la de 5 días, puedes ver que estás por debajo de la media, tienes este mínimo, este máximo, un máximo más bajo y este mínimo más bajo que este. Ya rompiste este, bien. Quieres definitivamente poder romper la media, pero te estás peleando con la zona de los 300 porque es una zona muy, muy importante para el precio de Coinbase. Una vez pasada esta zona, la parte alta del 38.2%, los 368 se van a volver bastante reales. Pero primero vas a tener que poder destruir esta resistencia en 343. ¿Tenemos algún setup en la de? No, pero está yendo la volatilidad a la zona más baja. Bien. Vamos a ver la de 3 días. En la de 3 días, vean, nos vamos acercando y la volatilidad empieza a darnos señales de que va a darnos una confirmación y un movimiento agresivo. Voy a poner mi 15% tradicional para estar al pendiente acá, para Coinbase, para todos ustedes. 2 días. En la de 2 días también vemos un poco de lo mismo y aquí es donde pueden ver también el promedio de la 9 dando confluencia en los 275. Con este nuevo máximo podrías venir a crear un nuevo mínimo justamente a esta zona si llegas a perder la zona de los 289, que es la parte alta de la zona azul. Y con eso te daría la oportunidad que estás buscando antes del subidongo, sobre todo porque estás viendo Bitcoin, ¿no? En $105,000, Solana en 220, cripto está reactivándose, el presidente Trump es el presidente de cripto, etcétera. Esto podría darte una jugada explosiva si la juegas bien. Así que al pendiente de esta, vamos a ver volatilidad, nada. En la diaria, en la diaria ya tienes el setup de volatilidad apoyando el movimiento a la alza justamente desde acá. Y ahí va. Después creaste este gap en la vela que sigue. Déjame quito el HPDR solamente para verlo en la diaria. Y acá en la diaria pueden ver perfectamente lo que estamos viviendo, ¿no? Esto, y aparte, si llega a bajar esto, hacer esto e ir para acá, ¿qué tienes? ¿Alguien sabe? Un hombro, cabeza, hombro invertido. ¿Cómo lo mides? De la parte más baja a donde se rompe. Esto está hecho completamente de chocomilk, y eso nos llevaría a los 350 más o menos, depende en dónde la rompa, 360. Interesante. 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 No, Coinbase se ve muy alcista. Lo único que tienes que esperar simplemente es a validar que dónde va a estar tu entrada. Tienes de dos sopas. Una, 3 confirmaciones acá, una confirmación de una vela de 2 semanas cerrando por ahí encima. 2, cuando venga esta zona, si es que llega, que te dé la oportunidad de entrar. Y básicamente 3 sería la parte baja de esto, que son 266. Fuera de eso, si rompes los 266 a la baja y empiezas a cerrar por aquí abajo, aquí es donde te deberías de preocupar a la baja. Pero el escenario que parece que se está dando, que tiene más probabilidades en nuestro libro, es este, donde se la vaya a jugar así Coinbase. Nada mal, muy alcista esta chingadera. Muy, muy alcista. All righty.
Nice. I forgot to
we got?
mention too,
Yeah.
we gave out an Academy Coinbase long actually. So I think TP1 at 299 probably got hit, or it's going to get hit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so just wanted to mention that little.
Yep. Let me just tell everyone too. Acuérdense que también tenemos un long en Coinbase abierto y puede que haya tocado el primer TP1 en los 299. Chequen solamente para asegurarse, pero ahí lo tienen para toda la gente imprimiendo con las señales de trading de elittradingacademy.us. All righty, sir. Thank you for that.
Yeah, nice. Now let's see Tesla. So I want to just put in this view because, really the higher time frames and Tesla's chart is really telling me, maybe the $500 region is maybe next on Tesla, which is pretty insane to talk about considering, just how well Tesla's been doing so far, especially, just throughout the year. We see on that dump down when we went all the way back down to 374, we first would have just been gauging that point, even without the HPDR. Just simply because of the nature of that level. I mean, we reclaimed it one time, we lost it, nice rejection off of it. Actually never really had a 3-month close back above 2.
Fucking internet.
Price would be right around that 38.2% at $509. We shift gears to the 2-month, can actually start seeing it pretty nicely. We're actually losing the 2-month 38.2%. We see we're very healthily above the median, got a very nice expansion. Again, tested that 370 zone pretty nicely. And now what we see is on the 2-month, assuming we keep above the 38.2%, next target is the 50% at $500. Just another point on why I think $500 could be next. We also know, though, the overall macro trend is still up on Tesla. And so right at that higher high is 487.50. So breaking that, a move to 100 really wouldn't surprise me. The monthly is interesting too, because we see we're back above the monthly moving average, and that was basically held down for over a year. So now we're back above that. We see here, we're now approaching the 78.6%. So no matter how you look at Tesla, it just to me seems like it wants more upside just based on the higher time frame chart. We see here the 78.6% is testing right around that wick high. I don't think this will happen, but if we can reclaim, especially above that wick high on a monthly basis, like any monthly close back above 489, technically will take us to $676. Unsure if that'll happen though. We do see here, we've had 3 months of just kind of up only on Tesla. Definitely not out of the nature, can have multiple green months. But I'm always slightly cautious on the 3rd green month, 1, 2, 3 slap down. So we just want to really see this month just simply hold above where kind of it's, at now at above $416. If it can stay a monthly above $416, I'll actually be looking at that, especially on a monthly close, is basically the beginnings of possibly the bigger breakout. You know, we would essentially flip the bear, essentially the last high before we went to the bear market, flip that high into support on a monthly. I bet you ranges would move down, and then potentially we can open above the 78.6% if it moves down. But that to me is a big zone, and we are pretty above it now. So you're going to just really gauge the 2021 cycle high for Tesla. I mean, when I'm viewing it, there's no really reason to overcomplicate it. Gonna want that to hold above it. And so what we see now is, I mean, even the 2 weeks just looking nice, slight front run of the 2 week EMA 9. We see here the 2 week actually has a nice silver cross to the upside. So that at least can help you gauge. I mean, any dump into that 2 week 9 should be looked at as an opportunity. If you already have the reaction like we've had so far in these wicks, where buyers have stepped in near this EMA 9, the most ideal part would be for this to just keep moving up. That way it can give us an easier entry. But if Tesla actually can't hold above $415, that'll put us back in this range. You know, to me, then if we start losing the $415 mark, that'll really open the chance of us coming back down and actually testing $372. So long as we're above that, though, which very healthily above, I don't see any reason why we need to come back to this wick low, especially with what we see on the monthly, the 2 month, and the 3 month. We see here we're claiming back above the 88.3%. And I mean, the next target again is right around that $500 mark, which would just be a new all-time high for Tesla. Weekly is actually interesting though. So this weekly is closing today. And we see here that we are breaking back above the $416 mark on this new weekly. We see here we perfectly held the weekly 9, basically since we reclaimed it back in October of 2024. That's why, you know, with these levels, there's really no reason to overcomplicate it. You would have already been gauging when Tesla went down to the 370s. Well, we're at a pretty major point with the meme lines. We're retesting the weekly 9. Should at least give some reaction. We can just see both taps gave a reaction. And so now we've busted on through. We're now reclaiming this $415 mark. What I'd want to see into next week is for us to possibly get a retest of that $415 and for this to hold. If this can hold, then this will really bleed into the 2 week opening and us giving us a nice retest of the 88.3% after it got reclaimed, a retest of the support zone after, you know, we basically SFP'd it. I mean, we lost it, came all the way down, quick buy up. Whenever you do get those reclaims, deviation, SFPs, you generally do want to look for a retest, kind of for it to prove to you that it is support. And so with this weekly, with what we see, this weekly is going to open up. Ideally, it just stays above $416. If it does, then I would want to see into next week, a pullback into that zone for a retest, and then for us to potentially go long there with a stop, you know, right around essentially this low at 380. It seems very logical. So at that point, you could front run this trade if we start losing the daily and actually closing back under $415. You can just start closing the trade because, you know, well, we're losing the daily 9. And whenever we lose the daily 9 after it acts as major support on Tesla, generally leads to downside moves. Plus, we're losing the support zone. Well, I mean, last 2 occurrences we lost the support zone led to more downside moves. So for me, it opens up potentially an easy long in this zone at $416, assuming price keeps reclaiming it. That also getting us a retest, again, could just retest simply the 9 on the daily, but then also could give us an actual retest of the breakout that we see on the daily occurring. We lost the 38.2%, lost the meme line, quickly got bought up, opened with a gap up. And now if this 38.2% stays anywhere around here, I'd simply want that to get retested before breaking out more. So I'm not longing here, even though I think Tesla can go up to 500 within the next month or two. I'm actually just patiently waiting, seeing, okay, where does the weekly, the 2 week actually close today? Do we hold above $415? If we can, then great. I'm then going to be gauging the retest around that zone into next week. If we get any kind of pullback, I'm going to be watching that very closely. Yeah, we see here. Let me just put that off. You know, just another point, we'll have to gauge that 2-day median here. You know, we're basically pressing somewhat of resistance now. And that's why for me, when viewing the daily here, you know, going up slightly higher, possibly hitting the 78.6%, right around $443, wouldn't surprise me. But with that 2-day median right around there, again, just makes sense to get some maybe kind of rejection there. We haven't retested it since we lost it ever. So this is the first retest. Often when you're retesting a median for the first time, you do get some reaction there. And that's why I do think that that could lead to just possibly a pullback into next week, assuming that this 2-day can close anywhere right here. The median stays above price action, maybe into the next open, we test it, come back down, retest the 38.2% before going up. Would make a lot.
We'll be right back. We're having some internet problems. Just one sec.
You know, in the pre-stages of a breakout. I mean, the only slightly concerning factor in this whole scenario with Tesla is, you know, we're not really getting too much volatility setups here telling me that, you know, a move could take us to 500 other than the HBDR and where we're at on the chart. That's why even if we get that nice weekly above 416, it's 416. I think I mentioned 415 one time. You're going to want to close above 416. But in doing so, then maybe we can actually get that consolidation, you know, flip this wick high into support, and then we just simply consolidate above that zone. Make a lot of sense to me. That way, then at least we can start resetting these volatility setups. And actually, BBWP can confirm what I see, which is a move back up to $500 on Tesla. So, you know, I'd really be gauging closely consolidation here if you're a bull. Holding back above here, retesting. That way, then we can start shedding off some of that volatility, resetting it, giving us another volatility setup for an actual chance to move higher. But yeah, I mean, with the 2-week silver, with the weekly silver cross as well, I mean, you do just have to still be on
a very bullish stance.
going to be, in my opinion, the second step for bulls. The third step will just be to consolidate above that, hold it, reset volatility. And then once volatility is reset and potentially we've just held the zone, then we can actually possibly make a break up and test the 480 to maybe even $500, which I do think is likely. You're going to want it to, because then that'll really solidify that this last rejection high, which is pretty major on a chart. Whenever you get a major high like this that leads to a bear market, you never really want to disregard that high. You know, we talked about it a lot with Bitcoin at the 69K mark, and now we see Tesla's flirting with the zone. So into next week is if we can hold above this $416 and consolidate, I do think then this can really start shifting volatility, can really start giving us a volatility setup, at least on the very least on the daily. And then we can really start making the argument of at the very least testing the $480, which is just simply, you know, testing right around where that 88.3% is, if not all the way up, and testing the extremes and actually making that high at $500. As I showed you in the beginning of this, you know, chart, the higher time frames are telling me that 500's next. Just, you know, the lower time frames possibly just need to consolidate here for a little before that. But I mean, as long as the monthly here is literally like brushing up against a major move on Tesla, it makes sense for me to just kind of want some consolidation, slight pullback, but above 416 really opens the door for us going a lot higher. And I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about Tesla, so it's interesting to see it look as good. I mean, it's literally in the pre-stages of breaking out, and you're not really hearing a lot of people talk about it. We still have a silver cross on the 5-day too. So it's just something to point out. That's often good news for bulls when you're not hearing everyone talk about, you know, Tesla making a new higher high last month and just simply looking as good as it does. So yeah, that's all I really see on Tesla.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It doesn't seem like there's euphoria on it moving where it's at.
No, and it's actually interesting to me because, you know, that's why I was surprised, I think, when I saw Tesla like last week that, whoa, it made a new higher high last month. So you really didn't hear anyone talk about it, which is
No.
kind of funny to me. So it either tells me there's a lot of people sideline or they try to short it maybe around here at that 370 mark, but didn't work well. So now, you know, Tesla's just on its way up. It's looking like potentially the 2-week has just solidified a higher low. And it'll be confirmed when we actually get that higher high. But again, if we actually do go up to that $500 mark, there's many things telling me like 520 to 510 is going to be pretty strong resistance. We see we're now at the 95% on the 2 weeks. There's only a 5% chance of continuation from there. See the monthly here. At that point, I mean, we are now at the 78.6%. We obviously can wick up and hit the 500. Why I'm bringing this up is because you can just see the major gap from this point. I mean, if Tesla bulls close, let's just say back above the 400, like this wick high, we'll call it to make it easy. You know, we're talking about Tesla potentially putting in a 46% move on the month, on a monthly chart. So maybe within the next, by March, Tesla's at $679. It's pretty insane to me. You know, I don't know
Bananas.
how true that is, but at least that can tell us, all right, well, that zone on the monthly is going to be a big spot for bears. We also see here, though, that the 50% on the 2-month is right around the $500 mark. So, you know, once we break 500, you're really not going to want to be looking for degenerate longs at that point, because there's a lot of stuff here that's telling us that that zone is going to be a major point for Tesla. And if we end up, let's say we do get those 2-month, monthly, 3 months above $600, $500. I mean, yeah, I mean that this really could start doing some insane stuff on Tesla. But I personally don't think we're going to see $600 Tesla. That's just my opinion. But I do think we can definitely see the 500s. And then, you know, we'll take.
Damn it. One second, boy. We're having technical difficulties.
Anytime. Am I loaded back in?
No, you're back in.
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, I'm just finishing up. I'm just saying, like, the weekly silver cross kind of surprised me when viewing this because, you know, you don't really get that often, and you know.
Fuck. A second, please. I don't know why my English was so bad when I said that. Just give me 1 second, everybody.
Stick to the level. Yeah, I keep lagging out. But essentially, there's no reason to get bearish on Tesla after a higher high. Watch the higher low here that's forming. Perfect logical at the weekly 9, right around the 370. You would have known here if we lost the weekly 9 and that 370. Well, first, we haven't lost that weekly 9 this whole time. It would have been bad. Losing the 370 has led to pretty big moves. Tesla is doing exactly what you want it to. I just don't know if we're going to personally.
Damn it. That was the most interesting part that he was saying. I'll fix it for you guys right now. All right. Yeah. Well, now you're back. Go deal with your internet. I'll deal with this bullshit. I'll do, instead of Elite Trading Academy, for an hour will be Average Trading Academy. Okay.
Okay.
I'll deal with this. Fix your internet. Nah, no worries. Keep me posted and let me know if you guys have any problems with it.
All right. Thank you, boys. And I'll post on the Discord. And I might do a Discord town hall to make up for the time. So, you know, watch that closely on the Discord. I might do one this weekend.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend, sir.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You too.
Bye. Ok, ahora vamos a ir de Elite Trading Academy a Promedio Trading Academy, porque el tío Salo se va a quedar acá porque a Alex le está fallando el internet. Se acaban de cambiar, solamente por contexto. Se acaban de cambiar de casa, encontraron una que ya les gustó, etcétera. Entonces andan con el pedo del internet. Bueno, Empecemos rápidamente, estamos viendo Tesla. ¿Qué es lo que están viendo en Tesla? Estamos en un gráfico diario, no tenemos un setup de volatilidad, por lo que lo voy a esconder, solamente para que lo sepan. Y tengo mis altos, simplemente tengo ¿cómo se llama? Trend Wave Catalyst de Crown puesto para que vean esto. Ok, desde que llegamos al tope en Tesla en los 487, hemos estado cayendo sólidamente, pero consolidando. Esto es una consolidación alcista. Mucha gente dirá, esto también podría ser una bandera bajista. Bandera bajista, bandera bajista. Podría ser. Pero ahora, has notado esta línea amarilla que ya teníamos puesta de antes, son mínimos más altos. Entonces, por más que hayas roto acá a un mínimo más bajo que este o que este, no importa, porque aquí es donde estás encontrando soporte en los 372 y después en los 378. Esto son mínimo más alto, mínimo más alto. Acá tuviste un alto más bajo, pero ahora estás creando un alto más alto, por lo que tu siguiente objetivo va a ser justamente acá. Lo único que quiero que vean con esto es el 9 está por encima del 21 tomando fuerza y la simpleza de la estructura, ¿ok? Vale, con eso dicho y hecho, vamos rápido a la de 3 meses. Déjenme ver la de 6 meses. No le he tirado una miradita por acá a la de Tesla. En la de 6 meses, arreglo esto, vámonos. Ok, muy buen cierre. Tuvimos el cierre más alto a fin de año. Por supuesto, el más alto que habíamos tenido antes fue en 352 y cerramos en 400, espérame, close, 403.84. Nada mal está Belongo. Y también pueden ver, o sea, sencillamente puesto en un gráfico de 6 meses, estamos formando este delicioso bajo más alto, un alto más alto. Esta es una tendencia alcista clara. Ahora, no tengo un cero de volatilidad en las 6 meses, solamente quería ver eso. Vamos a la de 3 meses y aquí tenemos que sacar el HPDR pronto, ¿ok? Déjenme rápidamente veo. Tenemos un setup de volatilidad, sí, se está dando, tal cual. En la de 3 meses, ¿qué nos dice eso? Simplemente vamos a ver dónde estamos, pues básicamente acá y continúa empujando a la alza. Esta es no es la volatilidad más baja que ha visto Tesla, pero es de la zona más baja. La zona más baja fueron 42 y ahora estamos rebotando de 50%, un 8% menos, pero también un buen madrazo para la alza, lo pueden ver acá. Y también queremos definitivamente superar este 60%. Vamos a ver cómo se da y tener un ojo pendiente acá, pero en la trimestral se ve muy alcista esto. Rápido, voy a ponerles el HPDR. Déjenme quito el Trend Wave para que no... Trend Wave. Acá, atentos. La zona alta del 38%, la de la zona azul, está en ¿dónde? En los $500. Pueden ver que a Tesla, cuando se vuelve loco y sale de la zona azul, le gusta irse hasta lo rojo, ¿ok? Pero mínimo por ahora vamos un objetivo a la vez. El primero van a estar aquí en los $509, lo pueden ver. Estamos rebotando deliciosamente en la media y ahora estamos expandiendo. Una zona muy importante para Tesla es justamente esta línea meme roja, donde queremos definitivamente ver cierres acá. Por encima de esa línea meme roja, y pueden ver el por qué, es porque este fue el alto más alto que había tenido antes de todo este mercado bajista que duró desde el 2021 hasta el 2024. Básicamente el 2025 es la primera vez que estás viendo algo que podría cerrar por encima de ella. Vamos a la de 2 meses. En la de 2 meses tenemos, una vez más, cerca de los $500, nuestro 500, el 50%. Estamos justamente en la zona azul. Bueno, entrando en la zona esmeralda, si le quieren decir así, que suena como un barrio de satélite. Estoy seguro que la zona esmeralda existe en satélite, ahora que lo pienso. Pero bueno, da igual. Estamos justamente acá. Habíamos rebotado en la vela de antes, justamente en la media y en el promedio del 9. Y esto nos impulsó a crear máximos históricos, pero ahora estamos justamente acá. Abrimos en los 389. Estamos en los 435 y vamos muy probablemente a buscar un nuevo máximo por acá en los 498, lo que nos da confluencia con nuestro objetivo en los $500. Ahora, ¿hay algún setup en la... Un poco, sí, la volatilidad está expandiendo y continúa expandiendo en lo que estamos viendo esto en la de 2 meses. Bastante bien. Vamos a la mensual. No sé por qué hice esto. Vamos rápidamente a la mensual. La mensual, vean dónde estamos parados, justamente zona verde, queremos llegar a los 466. Una vez que cerremos por encima de ello, vamos a tener un viaje a la siguiente zona de los 675. Vamos a ver si se llega a dar. Pueden ver que la volatilidad está un poco cansada y deja de apuntar agresivamente a la alza. Vamos a estar al pendiente de esto. Por ahora, nos esperaríamos que esto continúe y que podamos mínimo tapear, ¿no? Tocar los 466 próximamente, en los próximos días, si no es que semana. Vamos a la de 2 semanas, obviamente. La de 2 semanas es un poco parecida a la mensual. También deja de apuntar agresivamente para arriba, pero continúa, está en el 70%. Le gusta llegar al 100%. No estamos preocupados todavía que se acabe el movimiento. Nuestra zona del 50% está también otra vez en los $500. 500 siguen apareciendo en todos lados. Por lo que pensamos que deberíamos de tomar los $500 sin problema alguno, sobre todo teniendo el cero de volatilidad apoyada, la media estando aquí abajo junto con el 9. Está muy abajo en los 297, pero para cerrar esta vela de 2 meses todavía. Ay, cabrón, regresé a la de 2 meses a repetir lo mismo. Felicidades, Alejandro. De verdad deberías seguir tomando. El 95% lo tenemos en 518. 95% nos dice que solamente tenemos 5% de probabilidades de dar continuación al movimiento, por lo que nosotros pensamos en esta gráfica de 2 semanas que Tesla probablemente vaya a consolidar en esta zona, tal vez llegar a esta zona, continuar por acá, en lo que todos estos rangos bajan en temporalidades más cortas, y ya de ahí puede dar continuación, porque pueden ver que estamos en una zona donde hay pocas probabilidades de dar continuación. Y además, para validarlo, estás viendo que la volatilidad está ya intentando contraer oficialmente es cuando apunta para abajo y está por debajo del promedio, no lo está, pero está dándonos signos del comienzo de ello. Vamos a la semanal. En la semanal ya tenemos justamente la contracción de volatilidad. Lo pueden ver acá por debajo del promedio y cayéndose como un nepe triste. Ahora, acá arriba tenemos en la semanal el rebote justamente en el culo del 9. Me encanta cuando veo eso en la vela verde y empujando a la alza. Estamos entrando en la zona del 61.8% y la parte alta del 78.6% de la zona verde está en 477 y el 88.3% en 526. Otra vez nos vuelve a aparecer ese número una y otra vez. Y para la gente que diga, pero güey, tiene que llegar a esta zona tan... A Tesla le gusta llegar a esas zonas. Lo pueden ver simplemente acá. No me tengo que ir ni siquiera lejos para que lo vean. Ok, no, perdón, eso fue un accidente. Oigan, eso fue un accidente. Volatilidad contrayendo en la de 5 días. Nuestro 50% está en los 443, nuestro 61, 463 y nuestro 78 en los 510 en la de 5 días. Nuestra media y nuestra 9 están justamente, vean la 9 como igualita que nuestra línea meme por acá, dando y empujando para arriba. Se ve bastante alcista esto todavía y debería de tener continuación, mínimo a la zona de los 500. La de 3 días, bien, estamos por debajo de la media en la de 3 días. Queremos retomar la zona azul. No tenemos un setup de volatilidad. Queremos retomar la zona azul. Estamos peleándonos para llegar al 50% y la zona azul está en 456. Una vez ahí, nuestra media está casi en los 500, está en 492 y la parte alta de la zona azul en la de 3 días está en 528. Atentos con el 500 y 520 que siguen apareciendo. Dos días, estamos por encima del promedio del 9, bien, encima del 21, bien. Estamos a punto de ir a testear nuestra media y si la podemos romper a la alza, la parte alta del 38.2% son 463 y nuestro 76.6%, 511. Esto sería nuestro objetivo siempre y cuando no perdamos nuestra media. ¿Dónde está nuestra media? 414, que es justo donde está nuestra línea meme roja, que pueden ver acá. Esa es la zona donde nosotros pensamos que puede haber una oportunidad. ¿A qué me refiero? Vamos a la diaria. En la diaria estás viendo que está bastante sobreextendido, aunque el 88 y el 95, el 95% no es algo con lo que no está familiarizado Tesla. 95% está en los 487, para que lo tengan presente en la diaria. Esto quiere decir que Muy probablemente lo que vayamos a ver es definitivamente algo por acá, ¿sí? Tal vez algo así, y después el breakout oficial. En esto, en la diaria no tenemos un cero de volatilidad. No, la volatilidad está contrayendo. Me acerco a la de 4 horas a ver qué nos dice la de 4 horas. 4 horas nos dice que bien, ok. No, le gusta el 95%. 4 horas nos dice que el movimiento está quedándose un poco extendido. Vamos a ver el siguiente objetivo, 447 y luego 465 por ahora. Ahora tenemos algún cero de volatilidad. La volatilidad está expandiendo, pero no claramente acá. Bueno, sí, porque de todas maneras esto es más alto que esto. Volatilidad expandiendo en lo que estás viendo este velazo verde. 436.55 es el siguiente objetivo a romper. Ok, puesto simple, bastante bonito y sin hacerle tanto a la mamada. Ahí les va. Tesla, en esta zona donde estamos ahorita, con estar por encima del 414, estamos bien. A altas temporalidades tiene cara que nos queremos ir a los 600, entre 500 y 600 dólares. Temporalidades medias tiene cara que los 520 van a ser por donde nos encontremos tal vez el primer tope para consolidar. Y en temporalidades más cortas nos dice que lo que vayamos a ver probablemente va a ser algo así por un ratito y ¡pum! Va a continuar a la alza, a romper esto. Se ve muy bien Tesla. Ahora, ¿dónde está tu oportunidad para entrar en Tesla en estos momentos? No creemos que esta sea una buena zona de compra. La oportunidad va a ser en los 414. Si Tesla vuelve a llegar a esta zona, primera zona de oportunidad, 414. Segunda zona de oportunidad sería donde seguiríamos esta línea meme, ¿no? Ya por donde estás, tu mínimo por acá sería 489, digo 389, 396, 400. Esta sería tu segunda zona de oportunidad, esta línea meme, solamente para que lo sepas. Y no creemos que vaya a bajar más de ahí, pero de nuevo, vamos a ir paso a paso, no hay nada en el gráfico. Lo raro es que no hay ningún setup de volatilidad que nos esté diciendo que va a haber el apoyo de un movimiento brusquísimo a la alza. Por eso, por más que veamos objetivos en temporalidades altas como en los $1,000, no los vamos a tomar en cuenta hasta que veamos volatilidad apoyar esos movimientos, porque esos movimientos no vienen de la nada. Así que por ahora Tesla se ve muy bien, tiene cara que quiere a los $500, $520 rápidamente, consolidar y de ahí seguir empujando. Vientos por Tesla. Oye, bro, qué bien se ve Tesla, de verdad. De verdad que sí. Adrian, thoughts on Sol, the new ETH. Ok, Solamis, preguntas de Solana. ¿Solana es el nuevo ETH o no? Vamos a hacerlo muy sencillamente comparando Solana y Ethereum. Ah, no, qué pendejo soy. Ahí está el par. De Binance. Solana y Ethereum. Este Solana, ¿no? El primero que ves es lo que está poniendo en precio contra Ethereum. Solana contra Ethereum y lo vamos a poner en temporalidad de 3 meses para poder ver todo el gráfico rápido. Pueden ver que Solana está teniendo un breakout en contra de Ethereum potente a la alza. Bastante potente. Si estás interesado en ver cómo se ve este gráfico, pero del lado de Ethereum, así. Esto es Ethereum ahorita, básicamente. Al revés, estás viendo la fuerza de Solana contra Ethereum. Esto es Solana contra Ethereum. Se ve bastante bien, honestamente. Vamos rápido a darle una analizada a Solanita. ¿Qué verga se está pasando aquí afuera? Ah, perdón. Mi mujer está abriendo la ventana. Está friqueando la luz. Ok. Estamos viendo Solana en la de 3 meses. Pueden ver lo fuerte que se ve el gráfico con mínimos más altos. Todo el camino desde los famosos $8 hasta donde estamos ahorita en los 218, creando un segundo tope. Recuerden, y siempre les tengo que decir esto, Solana no está más alto que todo lo demás, por mucho, no porque no sea un éxito. El éxito está en el market cap. El market cap se ha doblado, o sea, el volumen completo de Solana se ha doblado. El problema es que Solana, como las monedas fiat y como la gran mayoría de criptos, no como Bitcoin, es inflacionaria. Solana están imprimiendo 8% del supply cada año. Entonces, estás diluyendo cada moneda, pero está subiendo de precio. Así que impresionante que hayamos logrado un nuevo alto histórico, eso es lo primero. Pero seguimos empujando por acá, encima del promedio del 9, y tenemos algún cero de volatilidad. No tenemos absolutamente nada. Vamos a ver en la de 2 meses. 2 meses aún mejor. Pueden ver perfectamente cómo nos venimos a apoyar acá y ahora estamos intentando pasar la zona crítica de los 216. Es lo que estamos buscando. Todavía le falta bastante a este gráfico para cerrar esta vela, 1 mes y 12 días, pero volatilidad está yéndose al punto más bajo. Todavía está en 44%, obviamente está contrayendo en la de 2 meses. Vamos a ver, vamos acercándonos un poco más a ver si hay algo por ahí, pero no sabemos dónde se vaya a dar la vuelta. Todavía nada en volatilidad. Dicho y hecho esto, creo que sería suficiente para poder sacar algo de datos con el HPDR. Déjame ver. Nos acercamos. No, esto no lo usaría para, o sea, honestamente no vale la pena ni siquiera darles el análisis de eso. Aquí ya esto tiene sentido. Estás en la zona azul es grande, la parte alta de la zona azul, 634. Yo lo tomaría como tranquilo. Lo primero que tenemos que notar es que nuestra media está justamente donde está nuestra línea meme, donde ponemos que va a ser nuestra siguiente resistencia que queremos flipar a soporte. ¿Por qué? Porque justamente en noviembre del 2021, esta línea meme se volvió, bueno, la tocamos y de ahí tuviste todo un mercado bajista y todo lo demás, intentaste romperla y volviste a caer. Esta es una zona de resistencia muy potente, donde está la media en los 258. Pero lo importante de esto a tomar en cuenta es, una vez que estemos por encima de la media y encima de esto debería expandir a la alza fuerte, pero fuerte. No sé si el objetivo de los 632 vaya a ser de lo más correcto. Lo que pasa es que no hay muchos datos para poder decirte, pero vamos a ver, volatilidad está contrayendo al punto más bajo de la historia, me parece, sí, en Solana. Voy a poner una línea meme en el 15% solamente para tenerlo acá, listo por cualquier cosa. Y vamos a poner atención a la mensual. Si estás viendo Solana en la mensual, saca tu BBWP y échale un ojo acá de harina, o sea, diario. Ok, con eso dicho y hecho, estamos por encima del 9, lo hemos aguantado divinamente, ni siquiera hemos cerrado una sola vela desde acá en septiembre del 2023, antes del setup de jamás. No hemos cerrado una sola vela por debajo de él. El 21 está muy abajo y el 34 también. Bien, 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 bien. Esta vela creó este es un bajo y un bajo más bajo. Son mensuales, así que importante reducir el ruido. Pero, o sea, creo que todos lo pueden ver, ¿no? Es más, si lo quieres poner así, lo puedes hacer así. Estás creando mínimos más altos y estás aguantando bastante bien la línea ahí. Ok, ya platicamos del setup mensual de volatilidad. Vamos a la de 2 semanas. 2 semanas. Uy, interesante, interesante. Estamos rebotando en la media y en el promedio del 21 y además el del 9, donde habíamos llegado a los $169. Esta vela va a cerrar en 2:17 horas y ahora estamos intentando cerrar por encima de esto. Aquí es donde se pone buena la cosa. Cierra encima de esta línea meme roja en los 216, que ahorita lo estás haciendo y faltan 2:17 horas. Vas a tener un muy buen chance a barrer tus máximos e ir a visitar la zona de los 282. Del 282 tienes una probabilidad bastante alta de llegar al 50% en 350. Este sería el primer objetivo realista que pondría una vez que podamos tomar este nivel. Retomar el nivel y usarlo como soporte, no perderlo. Esto parece un SFP ahora que lo estoy viendo y la razón por qué es, porque lo logramos, caímos, pero si llegas a volver a tomar esto, vuelves esto soporte y empujas a la alza, esto fue tu SFP, a la alza, duro, 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 duro. ¿Tenemos alguna cero de volatilidad? Sí, volatilidad expandiendo, había contraído un poco, pero ahora continúa su expansión desde acá. No sé si la contaría. Esta una vela más a la derecha, ¿eh? Vamos a ver. Ah, no, pues sí, ahí estás. Y está expandiendo en verde. Bien. Bien, bien, bien. No sé qué verga sean estas cosas que aparecen en mis gráficos. Pero ahí están. Ok, esta es la de 2 semanas con el setup de volatilidad empujando. Vamos a ver cómo se ve la semanal. Semanal, tienes volatilidad contrayendo. No, la volatilidad no te está diciendo nada en la semanal. Pero, tío, ve esto. Tienes la media justo donde coincide con esta línea. Ahora, esta semanal va a cerrar en 2 días y 7 horas. Vamos a ver dónde se mueve esto. No me sorprendería que esta media se venga a los 259 o que ajuste un poco en los 252. Es lo que yo esperaría de este movimiento. Estando acá y teniendo un cierre en la zona azul, que simplemente tenemos que cerrar arriba de los $202 en 2 días y 7 horas, nos diría que tenemos un muy buen chance de ir a buscar esta media en 250, básicamente nuestros altos históricos. Una vez rompiendo eso, vamos a poder ir a buscar la parte alta de la zona azul, que está una vez más 327. Los 325, 350 son un número bastante realista para Solana, en mi opinión, viendo este gráfico. Vamos a acercarnos un poco más, ver la de 5 días. 5 días encima del promedio. Por fin retomamos ahora sí que el 9. No queremos perderlo. Una vez más está en los 204. Yo pondría la línea en la arena justo ahí en los 204. No quiere cerrar debajo del promedio del 9 en la de 5 días para poder continuar esto. Parte alta del 38.2% de la zona azul está justamente con nuestra línea meme en los 246. Una vez que lleguemos a tapear esto y cerrar por encima de, vamos a tener un viaje gratuito a la zona del 76.8%, y esto está en 385. Mínimo el 61.8% en 297 debería ser algo muy realista en este gráfico de 5 días. ¿Tenemos volatilidad apoyando algo? No, pero tienes la volatilidad haciendo básicamente un setup de mini jamás, donde puedes ver que estamos por debajo del 15%. Atentos a esto, porque esto va a sangrar a la semanal. Bien, o sea, esto expandiendo, porque una vez que lo hizo acá, pueden ver el movimiento que dio de acá hasta acá, alto histórico. Estamos buscando básicamente el mismo tipo de movimiento ahora acá. 3 días. 3 días vamos a ir a buscar esa parte alta de la zona azul. Estamos por encima del 9, el 21, y aparte flipamos justo el promedio del 9 por encima del 21. Bastante, bastante bien. Esto nos indica fuerza. La media y el 34 están en la misma zona en los 197, y ahora vamos a ir a buscar los $232. Ahí es donde podríamos marcar nuestro siguiente nuevo alto más alto que los pasados. Consolidar tal vez un poco porque no tenemos nada en volatilidad que nos esté diciendo que va a empujar fuerte ya, e ir a buscar zonas más altas. Importante, 61.8%, está casi en altos históricos. Diaria. Para todos ustedes que han seguido por un rato, saben que me encanta cuando encuentro todos mis promedios en el mismo lugar, y ahí están todos. 9 por encima del 21, y ahora el 9 va a ir a buscar el 34. Aquí yo estaría viendo la diaria todo el día. Tu mínimo, otra vez, los 203. Tu zona crítica está entre los 202, 204, para no perder si eres alcista y poder formar un nuevo mínimo más alto en Solana. Estamos en la zona verde. La parte alta de la zona verde son 233. Ideal el 88% son los 251. Ahí ya estaría bastante sobrevendido el movimiento. Volatilidad está contrayendo, no está por encima, la volatilidad no está haciendo nada. Déjenme, me acerco a ver la de 4 horas, a ver si nos da algo. Ok, volatilidad está contrayendo. Tenemos una vela roja, donde se encuentra nuestro promedio del 9 en los 214, nuestra media en los 208 y el 21 en los 205. Muy probablemente vengamos, si es que perdemos la zona de los 216, más bien la zona de los 214, vengamos a darnos una vuelta a este promedio del 21 en los 205. Y esa podría ser la zona de interés para tu primera oportunidad en Solana, que es justamente donde tengo todos los promedios que están acá. Esto podría ser la zona importante. Pueden ver que como nos acercamos más, estamos muy bueno, no muy, pero ya estamos por encima de la zona azul. Consolidación, no me sorprendería. Creo que algo así se podría dar tranquilamente. convertir esto oficialmente en soporte y de ahí dar continuación. En altas temporalidades se ve alcista de madre, temporalidades medias también, nada más que se ve que necesita un poco de tiempo para poder respirar y poder subir. Y en temporalidades bajas estás viendo un poco eso, donde tal vez empecemos a ver, no sé, una corrección, simplemente una consolidación de precio moviéndose lateralmente para dar el siguiente paso una vez que volatilidad se abra. Tenemos nuestro setup de volatilidad bueno en los 5 días para tener, monitorearlo, que está acá, y también me parece que la mensual es lo que habíamos mencionado. Efectivamente, donde está cayendo al punto más bajo de toda su historia. Así que Solana se ve alcista de madre. Definitivamente la zona que no quieres perder son los 202, los $200. La oportunidad sería un retroceso a esa zona para poder comprar y entrar en long. Y como ustedes saben, en el Trading Academy están imprimiendo varo todos los de las alertas y vamos a continuar subiéndolas. Esperamos que la de Solana venga pronto. Estaremos al pendiente. Vale, Solana, dicho y hecho, ¿qué sigue? Apple. Güey, Apple tiene pinta interesante, ¿eh? Vamos a platicar rápido de Apple. Déjenme pongo. Tenemos por acá en StreamYard. Apple. Alguien lo había pedido antes. No. Denme un segundo. Para poner mi banner mamalón. Ya saben que si estamos aquí en Average Trading Academy con el tío Salo, mínimo que los letreros salgan bien. Es lo único que les puedo prometer de esto. Muy interesante el momento que está viviendo Apple, véanlo. Viene una zona de confluencia donde probablemente esto vaya a ser confirmado como como soporte. Tienes un setup de jamás en Apple en la mensual y se está moviendo lento. Ahí va, lento pero contento. No sé por qué empecé en esta temporalidad, discúlpeme, voy a regresar, pero bien, ok, eso se ve interesante. Apple tiene muchísimos datos, vamos a empezar en la de 6 meses. 6 meses, ¿qué nos está diciendo y qué nos está diciendo la volatilidad? El punto más bajo de la volatilidad lo alcanzó en el 2017, pero no estamos nada lejos de eso, ¿eh? Así que atentos acá, no tenemos nada en la de 6 meses. Déjenme reajusto el tamaño del gráfico. Vean esto, o sea, esto es una empresa que de verdad sube y nunca baja y nada de mamadas. En la de 6 meses nunca ha perdido el promedio del 9. Nunca ha estado en un mercado alcista desde que lo puedo ver acá en el 2006. Todo esto, tal vez lo perdió acá en el 2008. Así que cuando Apple pierde el promedio del 9, estás en una recesión, ¿no? Es básicamente lo que nos está diciendo esto. Ok, habíamos dicho, volatilidad está intentando ir a los puntos más bajos. Quiero prender el HPDR a ver qué nos cuenta, qué historia nos cuenta esta cosa. En un segundo me estoy rascando el ojo para que me salgan más de esas lagunitas que flotan en los ojos, porque no tengo las suficientes. Ya parece que tengo una ciudad ahí. Ok. Interesante, porque también nuestra línea meme coincide con el 38.2% en la de 6 meses. Esta está en $223. Apple está cotizando en 230. Si perdemos esta zona de los 236, creo que el movimiento y donde vayamos a encontrar nuestro siguiente soporte va a ser esta zona de los 198, $199, donde coincide el 50%, y este promedio del 9 probablemente vaya a subir ahí. Pero todavía faltan 5 meses y 12 días o algo así, 5 meses, 14 días para cerrar esta vela. Así que no nos preocupemos por ello. Pero la parte alta de esto, una vez más, si podemos aguantar la zona azul en los 223, no perderla, la media está en 350. ¡Ah! Su puta madre. ¡Wow! Ok. 3 meses. 3 meses, la media nos está casi rechazando, la perdimos después de haberla ganado por acá, y eso nos diría que vamos a un viaje gratis a los 197. Vamos a ver si la volatilidad está apoyando este movimiento a la alza, a la baja. Puede que sí, ¿eh? Atentos. Atentos, la volatilidad está empujando, viene debajo del 15%. Aquí está el 15% para que lo puedan ver. Viene por debajo del 15% y está empujando y viene para abajo. Vamos a ver si es un movimiento correctivo o no. La parte baja de la zona azul, una vez más, 197, 198. La media, 256. La zona a la parte alta del azul, 350. Y volatilidad está expandiendo en la trimestral. Vamos a mantener un ojo ahí. Falta bastante tiempo. 2 meses. 2 meses justamente nos está rechazando la media, lo podemos ver, está en 241, estamos en 230. ¿Qué pasa? Si no podemos aguantar la zona de los 226, vamos a ir a buscar nuestro promedio del 9, a ver si lo perdemos o no, pero esta línea meme en los 196 nos debería de aguantar hasta el 190, que es la parte baja de la zona azul. Volatilidad está contrayendo, ya no está expandiendo. Estaba expandiendo en la de 2 meses, ya no, está contrayendo. ¿Ok? No sé qué mierdas pasó ahí. Con eso dicho, déjeme quito estas cosas porque las tengo como referencias de algo que me había dicho Farhan. Con esto dicho, podemos ver que este va a ser una zona muy importante para Apple de aguantar, los 225. Vamos a la mensual. En la mensual tenemos volatilidad expandiendo, pero acá está yéndose de lado. Y yéndose de lado tenemos esta vela roja, lo que nos dice que estamos estamos muy probablemente ante un movimiento correctivo. Este movimiento correctivo se puede dar primer zona de interés, 225 o 224, segunda zona de interés, los 200, la zona de los 205 a los 200. Esa sería nuestra segunda zona de interés. Personalmente me cuesta trabajo ver que esto vaya a bajar más. Creo que esas van a ser oportunidades grandes. 2 semanas, vamos a ver la de 2 semanas, tenemos este topecito clásico, estamos a punto de perder esto, vamos a asegurarnos que hagamos un SFP, y acá teníamos un mini setup de jamás en Apple en la de 2 semanas, que se está perdiendo y la volatilidad está contrayendo una vez más. ¿Qué pasó cuando nos dio este movimiento? La vela roja, ok. Qué bueno que se echó para atrás. Y siempre y cuando la volatilidad no está expandiendo con esto, nos está diciendo que esta es una corrección. Puedes ver que la zona baja de la zona azul está justamente con nuestra línea meme en los 226. Atención, donde el promedio del 34 y el 55 más bien, que le gusta jugar con el 55, está una vez más en nuestra zona de los $200. Semanal. La semanal continúa, no está expandiendo, está yéndose de lado y este marcó un alto y ahora más bajos, por lo que no puede ser considerado expansión. Después de haber tenido esta super setup de jamás en la semanal, se nos fue desperdiciado. Ahora estamos en la parte baja de la zona azul. Ya habíamos perdido la zona azul a la alza, nos rechazó. Déjenme ver algo de Apple. ¿Le gusta estar en la zona azul? ¿Qué tanto se mueve la zona azul? No mucho, ¿eh? Le gusta estar pegadita, 1, 2 niveles, 1, 2 niveles. Ok. 1, 2 niveles, exactamente. Coincide con lo que estamos diciendo de que probablemente la oportunidad vaya a ser oportunidad justamente aquí en los 226 para empezar. Y si se llega a dar tu segunda oportunidad, 215, y obviamente la de oro sería los 200. Personalmente me cuesta trabajo pensar que Apple puede perder un 10% de la nada, solamente porque sí. Yo creo que esta zona va a ser interesante para mucha gente. 5 días, nos acercamos más, hemos perdido la zona azul y ahora estamos cayendo al 50% en los 228. Abajo de eso viene el promedio del 34 en los 225, lo que da confluencia con esta zona para nosotros, los 206. ¿Ok? Y estamos cayendo en la zona azul. Cuando caemos de la zona azul nos gusta 1, 2 niveles para abajo. Sí, suena que los 220, 226 van a ser la buena zona de acumulación antes de dar continuación a la alza. Y ahora, ¿por qué decimos eso? Siempre y cuando no barras el 219, ¿no? Siempre y cuando no lo hagas, estás creando bajos más altos. No estás rompiendo estructura alcista para nada. Y aparte tienes justamente un alto histórico atrás. Si pongo esto, denme un segundo, para que puedan ver, tienes esta perfecta estructura donde rompes, tienes este máximo, un máximo más alto, máximo más alto, máximo más alto. Tienes mínimo, mínimo más alto, mínimo más alto. Puede que efectivamente esta zona vaya a servir perfectamente. Lo que podemos ver sería que esto haga algo así, vaya a intentar reentrar, lo rechace, suba por acá y de aquí dar continuación, porque Apple se mueve un poco lento. Los ceros de volatilidad están ahí, pero se están yendo, pero no están, pero sí están. Entonces, Apple pinta bastante bien, honestamente, tíos. 3 días, vamos a ver exactamente qué estamos viendo. 9 y 21 ni siquiera se han dado la vuelta, pero sí estamos por debajo de ellos, estamos por debajo del 34 y el 55 nos debería de cachar. Es rara ocasión cuando lo perdemos. Perdimos el promedio del 100 en este entonces, pero el 55 le habíamos hecho un front run acá, por lo que pensaría yo que el 55 nos debería aguantar justamente en esta zona para no romper este mínimo. Queremos definitivamente aguantarlo y eso nos diría, bla, 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 bla. Vale, chido. Oye, qué padre. ¡Pum! Tómala, güey. Para arriba. Apple se ve bastante bien, honestamente. Vamos a ver la diaria. Volatilidad contrayendo. Pueden ver que todo esto fue por la volatilidad expandiendo, toda esta caída. Y ahora la volatilidad está contrayendo. ¿Qué nos dice eso? Que esta corrección tal vez esté por acabar. Y que eso nos daría confluencia con la idea de que esto podría ser la siguiente oportunidad antes del siguiente escalón para arriba. Voy a quitar esto. Déjeme, lo veo con el HPDR. Sí, y también en justamente. Justamente en el HPDR lo pueden ver. O sea, es raro cuando venimos al 88%, ¿no? Que se hizo acá. Es raro. Por lo que debería aguantar esta zona de los 225. Y esta zona de los 225 nos aguanta esto, haces tu SP por acá y vámonos para arriba. Y tu siguiente objetivo va a ser 240, 243, 250 y de ahí a romper a un máximo histórico. Pero de nuevo, Apple se mueve lentamente, entonces no tenemos prisa. Y bien, déjame ver en la de 4 horas qué es lo que nos dice. Volatilidad está contrayendo después de este movimiento. Parece que aquí encontramos nuestro suelo en el 68.1%. Déjame ver la de 1 hora. Sí. Sip. En la de 1 hora simplemente tengo que esperar a que retome el promedio del 9, en la de 230,69. Con eso nos va a empezar a dar una idea de que se acabó y también pueden ver esta caída de extremos. Se acabó. La volatilidad nos está diciendo que se está contrayendo. Por lo que, viendo en la diaria Apple, después de analizar absolutamente todas las temporalidades, podemos decir que esto puede ser el fin de la corrección antes de dar la continuación a la alza. ¿Entrarías en un long? Sería una buena idea. Tu invalidación sería simplemente acá, en los 227. ¿Te quieres ver grandioso? En los 220. Ahí ya cortarlo completamente. ¿Por qué? Porque estarías barriendo estos mínimos. Y si barres estos mínimos, hay posibilidad de que vayas por otros en los 214 y continúes y en verdad estés formando una tendencia bajista. Pero como pueden ver, si quito el HPDR, como pueden ver, una vez que crucemos esta zona en los 236, porque nunca lo había hecho antes Apple, y una vez más, tocamos acá en julio y vean todo lo que nos tomó regresar. Parece que esto es un SFP, que Apple va a poder conseguir esto, que haga esto y vaya a continuar a la alza. Es lo que tiene cara de. En mi humilde opinión, de nuevo, esto es Average Trading Academy con el tío Salva, así que no es elite. No es elite. Eso es Apple. ¿Qué vergas es Funo? Voy a ver si eso es cierto o no. No. Adrián, no sé a qué te refieres. Vamos a ver. Ah, Planet Fitness. ¿No es Palantir? PLNT, Josué. No, sí es Planet Fitness, no estás chingando. O sea, ve, en la diaria Planet Fitness tiene cara que va a corregir a la baja. Solamente de ver esto rápido. Vamos a ver, no lo he visto. Les voy a enseñar cómo pongo mis líneas de tendencia para que aprendan de un mediocre. Lo hago en temporalidad de 2 semanas. ¿Por qué 2 semanas? Porque en 2 semanas es suficiente como para parecerse un poco a la interacción mensual y me gusta ese punto medio. Ok, Planet Fitness. No tengo que poner más abajo. Justamente la media de este canal es esto, el 88.3. Ok, 88.3. Ok. Vientos. Tenemos acá Planet Fitness, que claramente está en una tendencia macroalcista. Había tenido todo este dispalparre desde el 2021 hasta el 2023. Del 2023 dijo, no, la gente se va a poner una vez más flaca y nos vamos para arriba creando este mínimo, un máximo, un mínimo más alto, un máximo más alto, un mínimo más alto, y ahora estamos justamente acá en lo que creo es, sí, altos históricos de Planet Fitness. Ok, ahora ya con esto... Honestamente, sí, estoy contento con esto. Ahora, ya aquí vamos a empezar, déjame ver la de 3 meses, que nos está enseñando esto. Uy, breakout. Pero esta era una zona bastante importante para el precio de Planet Fitness, justamente en los $95. Estamos por encima del promedio del 9, bien, que lo retomamos justamente acá en abril del 2024 y desde entonces has tenido un zampompazo de hasta 32%. Nada mal para una acción, sobre todo una acción de un gimnasio. En esta temporalidad debería de ver la volatilidad, pero no sé por qué no lo hice. Estamos ya llegando a la zona, a la parte alta del 38.2% en los 112. Volatilidad tiene algo que esté apoyando este movimiento. Lo tuvo por acá justamente y desde entonces ha estado yéndose de lado. Yo pondría bastante atención a esto. La volatilidad continúa expandiendo a la alza. Eso es bastante bueno. Simplemente parece que se está tomando un descanso y ese descanso lo estás viendo un poco por acá. ¿Ok? Mensual. Vean, o sea, ya este movimiento está bastante cansado. Ha llegado al 100% esto, ¿eh? A esta chingadera le gusta ir al 100%. Mientras menos datos tenemos, más difícil es decir, pero aquí puedes ver, mínimo en volatilidad estás llegando al 90%. Le gusta ser extremos, por lo que puede haber continuación en el movimiento a la alza y tener un objetivo en los, cuesta decirlo, pero por ahí de los $120 en este momento. Sobre todo por la postura tan alcista. Tienes un cruce plateo que pasó hace no sé cuánto tiempo en la mensual. Duro. 2 semanas, estamos entrando en la zona al 95% que está en 109, 114 es el 97% y de nuevo, le gusta casi irse al 100%, solamente por eso estoy diciendo eso. Antes de relajar las tetas, probablemente vaya a ser algo así. Venir esto lo va a tener que convertir en soporte y después dar continuación. Por ahorita empiezo a ver en todas las temporalidades que no está muy lejos de poder encontrar un techo. La semanal. Extendido en temporalidades altas, pero no en cortas. Volatilidad contrayendo. Tuvo un setup de jamás. Volatilidad contrayendo en lo que estamos viendo que nos recargamos en el 9, tal cual como me encanta, y empujando a la alza. ¿No? Está el 88%, en los 122. Ahí estás. 122 sería mi próximo objetivo para Planet Fitness en este momento. Viendo lo que estoy viendo, estamos por encima de la media, bastante bien en la semanal. No tenemos nada en volatilidad, estamos creando mínimos más altos, o sea, todo bien. Vamos a la de 5 días. 5 días, damas y caballeros, 5 días. 5 días estamos justamente encontrando que por primera vez rompimos la media a la alza después de haberla perdido y estamos justamente acá, lo que nos debería llevar a la parte alta de la zona azul, que son 110, y de ahí para arriba, una vez más, los 120 vuelven a aparecer, pero la volatilidad está contrayendo en la de 5 días igualito que en la semanal. Vamos a ver 3 días. 3 días pudimos retomar, igual acá la zona nos rechazó la parte alta y ahora estamos justamente rangueando en esta zona. Ok, volatilidad en... vean esto. Tuvo un setup de jamás, la volatilidad justamente acá, y ahora vas a tener otro. Pon atención acá, estás metido en esta acción, quieres ver esto. Una vez que la volatilidad cruce esto, te va a dar un setup bastante fuerte para poder apoyar ese movimiento, tal vez hasta los 120 dólares, si es que se da para arriba. Esto pinta muy alcista, no tiene nada de bajista ahorita que me diga, uy, algo acá está extraño, algo huele mal, ¿no? Más allá de tu aliento. Una vez más, estamos viendo volatilidad expander y lo que estás viendo ahora en las últimas es simplemente el irse de ladito. No está haciendo nada. ¿Esto por qué es? Parece que tiene que consolidar un poco. Déjeme ver si en esta le gusta ir. No, a esta también le gusta ir hasta el 97%, que está en 118. Con que volatilidad continúa expandiendo en la diaria y no se dé la vuelta para abajo, esto tiene cara que puede llegar tranquilo al 117. O sea, vean, esta zona justamente es esta. Pues, listo. Estamos viendo que en altas temporalidades tiene cara de que está cansándose el movimiento a la alza. Temporalidad más corta tiene cara de que sí puede llegar a los 220 y de ahí yo tendría que rever esta tabla otra vez a ese punto. La razón por qué digo eso es tengo que ver cómo se mueve todo el HPDR y hacia dónde, porque los setups de volatilidad tienen cara de que los van a dar a la alza. Y si eso continúa, pues tiene que continuar haciendo altos históricos. ¿Qué es lo que estamos buscando en este momento? Acá, yo pondría esta línea meme por acá en los 101. Queremos convertirla en soporte. Este debería ser nuestro primer soporte. Si podemos aguantar acá, vamos a consolidar acá y eso sería bastante alcista. De nuevo, para continuar la tendencia que estás viendo por acá. Si llegas a perder esta zona, tu siguiente zona de soporte interesante tiene que ser los $95. 101, 95. Y la segunda va a ser hasta el final de este gap en los 85, o tal vez al principio en los 90 y tantos. No sé si algo me esté diciendo que esto vaya definitivamente a revertirse hasta acá. No tiene cara de, pero tenemos que estar atentos a los setups de volatilidad. Se ve bastante alcista, tiene cara que se quiere ir a los 120. Planet Fitness es casi un 15%, ¿no? En su precio. Así que atentos ahí con Planet Fitness. ¿Qué otra tenemos? NNE. ¿Qué es NNE? Nano Nuclear Energy. Vaya, por fin. Ya lo habíamos visto antes. Lo tenemos por acá. Déjame pongo NNE en mis dialoguitos. NNE. Listo, y ahora ya lo puedo compartir. Aquí estamos viendo Nano Nuclear Energy y pueden ver que efectivamente ha estado justamente rangueando en esta zona. Creó un mínimo más alto que estos, alto, máximo. Acá es donde la gente se preguntó, oye, ¿qué pedo, brother? No pudo pasar de esta zona. Acá voy a poner una línea verde, por supuesto. Pum, 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 analizando. Voy a borrar esto. No creo que vayamos a visitar esta zona últimamente. No tiene cara de. Ok, vale. Comencemos. Comencemos el análisis. Esta madre salió el 2024. Va a estar algo complejo, pero empecemos con el 5 días. Es más? ¿Sabes qué? Vamos a empezar con la mensual, con la semanal, que en esta madre parece mensual. Ok. Déjame ver el HPDR si tiene sentido. No. Esta va a estar difícil. Ok. Esta le vamos a dar un análisis técnico clásico, brother. Donde ve, la volatilidad está contrayendo al punto más alto de toda su historia. Déjame, simplemente veo 2 semanas ya está peligroso el pedo. Mensual va a ser imposible. Ok. Vamos a... No quería hacer eso. Definitivamente no quería hacer eso. Vamos a la semanal. Semanal, una vez más, contracción de volatilidad al punto más bajo de toda la tabla, con su gran historia desde el 2024 en mayo. Esto fue una tomada de liquidez absolutamente agresiva. Estás por encima del promedio del 9. Lo habías retomado después de haberlo perdido. La única vez que lo perdiste fue en julio, donde tuvimos un mini bear market en todo, que fueron correcciones pendejas y pequeñas. Desde ese entonces cruzó el 9 por encima del 21 y ha estado bastante alcista. ¿Dónde está la zona fuerte y la zona de expansión dura? Acá. Una vez que pueda cerrar por encima de los 28.48, vas a empezar a ver el precio de esto volar. Vamos a acercarnos un poco más, ver la de 5 días si nos dice algo más la volatilidad. Continúa al punto más bajo que ha estado. De nuevo, lo mismo. Pondría esa línea meme en diagonal y creo que hay un canal. Espérame tantito. Saliéndome un poco de lo tradicional con esta porque es un poco... Es difícil analizar cosas con... Voy a poner esto. ¿Qué pasa si lo pongo acá? ¿Qué pasa si lo pongo acá? ¿Qué pasa si lo pongo acá? Ahí está. Es donde debería estar. Efectivamente, esto es un canal. Ok. Y aparte, alcista de madre. Vale. Lo único que tienes que ver es... Les voy a poner esta para que sea evidente. Bueno, déjenme checo volatilidad en la de 3 días también. Volatilidad, tienes la lectura más baja de toda la historia en la de 3 días. 2 días se había comenzado a expandir, pero ahora está cayendo. ¿Qué pasó cuando expandió? Digamos acá. Y después acá comenzó a caer. Expandió. Ok. Y ahora, ok. Este setup de volatilidad es a la baja. Atentos. A la baja. En la diaria, déjame ver algo. Es que esto a veces es bastante... Sí, o sea, este empuje de volatilidad es a la baja. Voy a poner el HPDR en la diaria, que sí se puede. Y podemos ver acá. Ok, estamos bastante castigados. Aunque el castigo le gusta ir hasta la zona de abajo. Gracias al cielo tienes este mínimo. Vale. Vale. Viendo esto, poniéndolo todavía más fácil que todo esto, es así. Tienes un máximo, tienes un alto más bajo. Tienes bajo, un bajo más bajo. ¿Qué es lo que tienes que hacer acá? 1, primera misión para los alcistas, poder cerrar por encima de todos los promedios. Es lo primero que tenemos que hacer, cerrar por encima de todos estos promedios. 2, ¿dónde va a estar tu validación de que esto es alcista? Hasta acá arriba, rompiendo los $33. Estás cotizando en 25. Si tienes un rechazo aquí de estos promedios, probablemente vaya a ser un nuevo bajo, porque la volatilidad tiene cara que está apoyando los movimientos a la baja, no a la alza. Entonces, muchísima atención, déjame ver algo. Muchísima atención aquí, en los $27. Si acá te rechaza más o menos, va a haber una probabilidad muy alta de venir a visitar los 19, 23 y para abajo. Lo único que puede invalidar esta visión bajista, romper los 33. De los 33, ve lo pequeño que es el margen, de ahí te vas a ir a los 37. Pero no vas a saber hasta entonces. No es tan fácil leer un gráfico con tan poca información. A largo plazo se ve bien, ¿no? Porque desde acá, desde septiembre, está haciendo mínimos más altos, ¿no? Esto parece un SFP y ahora estás entrando una vez más en el triángulo este. Esto es lo que yo tendría como referencia, honestamente, a este punto. Primero, estar por encima del 9, el 21, y quieres que también flipear el 9 por el 21, o sea, el 9 por encima del 21. Eso es lo segundo que vas a querer hacer. Si no puedes hacer eso, te encuentras con este tope y cae, va a caer rico. De nuevo, no hay nada que nos vaya a dar confirmación. Tu primer estilo de tipo de confirmación va a ser romper esto, pero no estás en una forma aquí de abrir un long o un short. No hay nada. Nada. O sea, si el precio cae más o menos por acá en los 22, ¿no? 21, que es donde está el promedio del 100, ahí es donde probablemente valdría la pena abrir un long y simplemente invalidarlo con la parte baja de esta vela. Pero más allá de abrir un long por aquí abajo, no hacerle un corto acá, no sabes si va a caer o no y si va a crear un nuevo máximo. También por acá puedes abrir cortos o apostarle a la baja una vez que se acerque a esto, pero no, ahora sí que no hay un trade bastante listo. No hay un trade listo para ti, carnal. Ahora, todavía me quedan unos minutos, no me lo ha pedido nadie, pero vamos a ver Rivian, ¿no? Yo quiero ver cómo está Rivian. Lo había visto al principio de el programa, pero pues ya se me olvidó. Por aquello de la marihuana, brother. Oiga, no fumen drogas, niños, se van a volver muy cool. Por favor, no lo hagan. No, en serio, no lo hagan. Uy, Rivian de mi corazón, de mi cariño, ¿qué está pasando, tío? Tíos, por favor no hagan esto. Ok, con eso dicho y hecho, voy a quitar esto, esto. Vámonos para atrás y vean esto. Quiero ponerla, a mí me gusta mucho la semanal en Rivian. La semanal en Rivian enseña justamente todos mis puntos. Porque venimos de literalmente una tendencia bajista de madre. Esta es la primera vez que encontramos uno que otro fondillo y dijimos, ok, ve, estamos haciendo un mínimo y un mínimo más alto. Eso nunca, o sea, lo hemos hecho localmente, ¿no? Aquí, acá. Y todo el mundo, wow, ya chingamos, pero creaste un alto más bajo y bolas, güey. Eso es lo que parece que está pasando en este momento con Rivian. Todavía no. Pero eso es lo que tiene cara de nada en volatilidad semanal. Ahora, ¿por qué lo digo? Porque vieron ustedes, estamos creando este alto más bajo que este. La cosa va a ser no romper estos mínimos en 9.54, ¿no? Eso va a ser la cosa. Y lo primero que tenemos que ver es no poder aguantar donde está nuestro promedio el 21 y el 34. Eso va a ser lo más importante. Vamos a empezar de arriba en la de un mes, porque de nuevo esta no tiene también mucha información. Y en la mensual podemos ver, rompimos a la alza esto y estamos recargados en el 9. Aquí, esto me gusta. Esto me gusta. Volatilidad está yéndose al punto más bajo y está en caída libre. Aquí voy a tener una alerta completamente puesta y lista para cuando pegue este 15%. El día de hoy le acaba de aprobar a Rivian, el gobierno de Estados Unidos, lo que habíamos platicado antes, un préstamo de 6.5 billones de dólares, por supuesto que sí. El presidente Biden le dijo a Elon Musk, toma, pendejo, le voy a dar dinero a todos los idiotas que no me caen bien, que no te caen bien, y se los dio. Aunque yo amo a la gente de Rivian, no los pondría en esa categoría, pero Biden así los dice, güey, no dijo nada. Ok. Estamos justamente agarrando esta velita, ese soporte tan delicioso que tenemos en los 13.32, que es lo que queremos que aguante, básicamente. Si no podemos aguantar esta zona, esto no va a pintar bien. Antes de preocuparnos, vamos a sacar el HPDR, vamos a ver qué niveles nos está enseñando. Y también la cosa es que estás viendo que el HPDR está bastante en los niveles ya cansado, ¿no? Donde debería haber una corrección. Y eso no me gusta para nada en este momento. Vamos a acercarnos a la de 2 semanas. 2 semanas, tienes la vela de reversión justamente acá. Si esta vela llega a bajar de los 12.72, se va a volver en una vela envolvente bajista y eso no sería nada bueno. Pero también del otro lado, pueden ver acá una de mis hazañas favoritas, cuando el precio hace un breakout, que venga una vez más a retestear la zona que rompió y después de continuación a la alza. Mínimo por ahora, esto no se ve cocinado. Lo malo es que perdimos el promedio del 34. El promedio del 34, que es la línea blanca, nunca antes la habíamos podido tomar. exitosamente. Y acá tuvimos un cierre por encima. Ahora, no me sorprendería si es un rechazo. ¿Por qué? Porque nunca la tocó, la tocó por primera vez apenas y ahora ya la tomaste, pero te puede rechazar, ¿no? Esa es la idea un poco de lo que estamos viendo por acá. Vamos a la semanal. Semanal, ¿qué tenemos por acá? Semanal, tienes un poco de lo mismo que habíamos visto y ahora tienes una vela de indecisión. Esta vela de indecisión, pero no, esta vela no se volvió una vela envolvente bajista, esta fue una vela envolvente alcista muy cabrona, pero para poder validar esta vela alcista, tendrías que cerrar por encima del 16.65. Ahorita, Rivian justamente está por encima del promedio del 9, del 21, del 34 y hasta el 55. El siguiente objetivo van a ser los 18.85, donde está el promedio del 100. Pero, ¿dónde están nuestras banditas, nuestra bandera? Hemos ya topado en la zona del 83% y ahora nos vamos para abajo. La media está subiendo agresivamente y se encuentra en los $11. Eso es bueno. Eso es muy bueno. Esto es alcista en una temporalidad más baja. Bien. Viendo para acá, volatilidad no tenemos. Habíamos tenido la expansión, pero en realidad simplemente se ha ido de lado. Nada claro. La de 5 días, una vez más, volatilidad contrayendo. Estamos en zonas, o sea, a Rivian le gusta irse hasta estas zonas, por lo que no me sorprendería verlo en los 18.74. Simplemente estamos creando esta estructura alcista, pero lo está haciendo muy poco a poco. Ahora, en la de 5 días tenemos un problema, señores. Y ese problema es que este alto que habíamos logrado antes, no lo pudimos romper hoy. Esto nos estaría haciendo un mínimo más alto en esta zona y eso probablemente nos haya ir a la parte alta del 38.2% y eso está en los 12.81. Si eso llega a pasar, deberíamos esperar ahí rebotar, que también coincide con la línea meme, y ahí rebotar ya por fin al alza. Si no encontramos un suelo ahí, ahí es donde yo diría esto es bajista, pero esto tiene cara alcista. Vamos a ver la de 3 días. 3 días justamente topamos en el 38.2% y la media nos está aguantando en los 13.87. Tenemos un cruce plateado a la alza, bien. Volatilidad contrayendo, bien. Con nuestro cruce plateado a la alza justamente acá. Sí podemos aguantar justamente donde estamos en los 13. Ahora sí que te la pone fácil, güey. El promedio del 9 en la de 3 días está donde está la media del HPDR, por si lo quieren anotar. Con que aguantemos por encima y tengamos este cierre acá en 4 días y 3 horas, porque tiene que pasar el fin de semana, esto va a darnos objetivos más alcistas. Y podemos ver que el promedio de los 200 en la de 3 días viene por ahí arriba. Y esta es la primera vez que estamos tomando el promedio del 100. Interesante, justo acá. Si nos está rechazando el promedio del 100, ¿ya lo vieron? Hijo de perra, hicimos un SFP acá. Vamos a ver si lo podemos retomar, aunque seguimos tocando la puerta. Estamos justamente siendo un sándwich de todos los promedios menos el SMA 200 acá. La de harina, uy, qué rechazo de la media que nos llevaría a la parte baja de la zona azul en el 13.84. Si cerramos así en 2 horas y 34 minutos. Y ese sería nuestro siguiente objetivo. De no aguantar, ya se los puse clarito, vamos a venir a esta zona de los 13.28. Y de no aguantar, pues a ver qué pasa. Pero por ahora tenemos que ver. Rivian está en una zona bastante interesante. Volatilidad todavía no nos dice nada una vez más. Rivian está en una zona bastante interesante. ¿Por qué? Porque tiene cara de que sí quiere romper a la alza y además estos mínimos son más bajos que estos y que estos. Lograste un alto, lo único que te falta es un nuevo máximo por acá. Es lo único. Pero este rechazo de este máximo podría ser un máximo más bajo. Y aquí es donde tenemos que poner atención. Simplemente logrando cerrar por encima, bueno, subiendo y tal vez cerrando por encima del 15.34, me daría la esperanza de que tranquilamente nos vamos a llevar este tope y de ahí nos vamos a los 18.83. Y de ahí ya empezaría la fiesta. Yo creo que la fiesta de Rivian tal vez ya empezó, Pero de nuevo, no voy a brincar sin paciencia mi cuenta de contado ahorita. Mi IRA está completamente llena de esta madre, así que estoy contento. Pero por ahora, pinta bien Rivian. Vamos a ver si aguanta y con que no se lleve estos bajos en los 12.74, todo me va a tener tranquilo. Perdiendo los 12.74 a la baja, olvídalo y tenemos una oportunidad más grande de comprar todavía a mejor precio, aunque me cuesta mucho trabajo entender cómo sería eso posible cuando a la empresa le está yendo tan bien, cuando están creando estos coches a muchos mejores precios, etcétera. Ahí lo tienen. Ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Este fue su sesión de trading con el tío Salo, ya que todo el mundo me abandonó. Es que qué mamada. Pero, y gracias, parezco piña, porque así me desperté, pero les mando un fuerte abrazo, muy feliz viernes, pásensela a toda madre, cuídense mucho. Nos vemos pronto. Oye, ¿cómo de que no? Nos vemos muy pronto, brother.